How many people does it take to do a live stream?
Well, in our defense, it changes every day.
Okay, so there is no mute button on this,
I don't
so
want that.
no.
Go ahead, I'm gonna
hard-
throw it at you.
Well, I'll catch it. That's what it says to catch files, but just right now.
Gotcha. Thank
I
you.
don't want anybody, I never want anybody to have a hot mic moment. And.
You see me
Please don't-
take it and
please
throw it
don't take
away.
this the wrong way. You would be one to do that, and so would I.
You know, so I'll go.
No, we're just sitting around quietly all
That'll
day.
be fine.
Okay.
Okay.
There you go. Did you use the phone?
No, I can talk about it after that, we lost it. Or I can use that in there.
Well, I thought, yeah, you turned,
Yeah,
you just turned it, didn't you? Cause I could hear it on.
yeah, he just.
Okay.
Here's the, like the survey of operating budget.
Okay, you're live. We good? Yeah.
Is everybody ready?
Surveyor.
I'm just gonna check real quick to make sure it is live streaming.
Six.
All right, good morning, y'all. So appreciate you coming in. So I know you're a little early, but you guys can jump into it because we got time on the agenda. So
Okay.
if you want to go right ahead, Steve. I mean, we've been doing this very informally this year. We tried to, in the past, I know they've done line by line by line by line by line. So I mean, we can do it however you'd like to do it, but so I'll take the lead from you.
First of all, I think I discussed with both of my employees on raises that I discussed with them that we weren't going to put any down because of the situation with the state. We didn't know what was going to happen with that. So we're leaving it up to you guys on that. So they were okay with that and nobody complained. So, but our budget, we probably raised ours a little bit on all of our items. Other than that, we're pretty much sticking with the same budget we had with the line items. We didn't see anything that was out of kilter that we really ran low on. We stayed within what we do every year. So I guess, unless you guys have got some questions, you've looked it over. Or
I did have a question, if you don't mind. The office equipment line item, the
Yes.
4,000.01. I know you had 1,800 and change last year. You've used 0 this year, but you bumped it to 54. Was there a expected purchase or something that
yes.
Yes.
coming through?
We're running on a outdated copier with no more service. So we got that last year in the intention that we would get one, but we just milked that one on through. So
Okay,
we're asking back for that. We'll have to get one. We're done. We can't get no toners. We can't get nothing. So we ran it till the bitter end of it. If it goes down tomorrow.
drove the tires off literally.
Yeah, we have. And it's been a good one. I've had it there since I've been there. So.
I figured it was something like that because it took a jump and I just wanted to,
Yeah.
Kinda
so
double
that's-
check.
That's what that's all about. And like I said, and I think we're gonna go back basically with the same copier because I've had good luck with it. We have 4 departments right now using that. That's how heavily that gets. Planning administrator uses it. I use it. Angie uses it. The weights and guy is over there now and Scott, the building inspector. So it gets very heavily used. So that's what that's about.
You don't need another vehicle this year.
Huh?
You don't need another vehicle this year. You're not running the tires off the new.
Did you got brought that up? I might be
Oh,
in the future. I would like to look at is a 4-wheeler. I'll be truthful with you. With my job, I would use it every day. When you walk a mile across the field, forget something out of your truck, you gotta go all the way back and then you gotta go back. A lot of these fields I can drive if they're dry. But with the rain we've had this year, that vehicle would be priceless.
Well, a lot of those vehicles are really rough too, so it's rough on your vehicle.
It's rough on my vehicle because I got it all-wheel drive, but we've mentioned that before, but she does GPS now for all of our drains. So we go out on a lot more and GPS all of our tiles and put them exactly where they're at. And then we put them on our beacon. So that helps us when we got to find it. We can go out and locate it within a quarter of an inch. We'll run on top of it. So just to mention, a lot of the other surveyors are starting to look into those to pull behind their vehicles to take them because you just can't get back in these fields. The weeds are above your head, you can't see nothing, you can't, I mean, so I got a job that's just sort of different from everybody else's.
Looking at your perpetuation fund of 45,000, what again is that contractual services under that? Is that,
That's contracted out for section corner funds, that section corners that we did, the big project that we did and
Last
got it
year.
implemented last year through, the ARP money. So we're continuing to do, we gotta do 5% a year of all of our section corners. How many section corners is there?
I don't remember. A
There's
lot.
thousands of them, yeah.
Thousands of
So
section corners.
It's a rock in the ground where they
Mhm.
sectioned everything off and we locate those, make sure they're not moved or somebody's took them out or whatever. The surveyors use them to find your corners of your property. What is that?
okay, so you haven't used that this year because you've
Oh,
only
what-
used $740, something like that.
We do. We have USI's doing them. We haven't paid out, but every year we're supposed to do 5% relocate or initially locate 5% of the section corners in the county for a year. That's kind of a state guideline that we're supposed to do.
They only work on them when they have, it's sort of a not hurry. That's the reason why we don't pay till the end. We have two contracts. We have with USI and
United Consulting.
United Consultants. And they'll go out, it may take them 6 months, 8 months to even get work done. Because they do this, they don't just go out every day and do them. They do them when they're slow times, what I say. So we're not in a hurry, so we haven't paid out our contracts yet, but we're paid out at least 30,000 to 35 right now on contract. They just haven't collected for it.
They wait till the end and then just give them all to me in a
Yeah.
big bunch. So it's easier that way.
So, but for the end of the year, you'll have 45,000 out,
Yeah.
Should, yeah.
roughly that. Can you use whatever that investment fund that you talked about last year when Bill Upchurch was in? Can that be used for like a ATV or, I don't know, some things are allowed and some things.
Portion, if I take a portion out, it'd be out of these two funds that we have, your GDI and your maintenance funds, which those are for drainage only. But I can't use any, those are weird because they're only used for reconstructions, fixing tile, doing open ditches and stuff like that. So basically, if I use a lawyer and we have to do a hearing or something other, I can use those fees like that. But to go out and buy a thing, if you'll read the codes, these have been in since the 60s, these codes here. So they're real stringent on this, what you use them for. So basically, we could use a portion out of it, either out of our budget or whatever we got left over if we, tighten horns and really narrow it down possibly on that. But yeah, these funds are pretty stringent on what they can be used for.
So how is your GDI fund going?
Doing pretty good.
Because I know that's, honestly, that's something that's
Yeah, Debbie,
been
you're gonna have to help me on that.
cut back several times in the
Oh, yeah.
past. and-
The GDI fund. And that's the one where we can borrow that to do maintenance if a fund doesn't have enough, but it has to pay itself back with assessments that come in during the year. So I'm sitting there trying to
I
figure
don't
out.
have that number right off.
That's what I'm trying to do.
I'm looking
Read
for it
one.
right now.
I didn't see it in the books.
The GDI allocation.
We don't budget.
Well, it's out, that's.
Yeah, I know, but I just know the balance because I know it seems like it had went to
Never.
5,000 a year that we were putting in it, but and now he's asking for 10 again.
Debbie, I apologize because Ruth does this and I don't know then what number that is for sure.
And you're looking, okay, general grant.
Yes. Then you got a maintenance fund.
141, 294.
And where was our balance last year? Do you?
So if we do a reconstruction, it may be $100,000. If we don't have it, say we got 50 in one of our legal drains, I can borrow 50 from that, put it over to there, and then I got to pay that back depending on how much I get in on assessments every year. So every 6 months, I get taxes, I put it back into that. So really, it's like I describe it as a in-house savings account that can only be used to borrow to go to these assessments or these things.
You ended the year with 133.
Okay.
So you've gone up 7,000 in that account in a year.
Yeah.
And then, so, I mean, okay. I mean, I know you're asking for more this year than you did last year. Is there something coming up or is there a reason? I know that
Chad, what are you,
the GDI fund, the very last on the surveyors, the very last on the 006, the GDI allocation.
yeah, but I have department request is 0 on mine.
Down just a tiny bit.
Oh, I see it. Sorry.
didn't
I
see
see
it
the, but
either.
yeah, you didn't see it
Okay, it's
either.
hidden.
Okay, I got it. It's hidden. I got it.
I was gonna say,
I was like.
On the GDI allocation, is that what you're saying?
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
we did, she did put that in there. So this is something that we've asked for ever since we've been in here to build that GDI up to where we'd have, I think when I started, it didn't have 40,000 in it, so there wasn't much to borrow.
yeah,
We couldn't do work. It's about like the bridge fund. So we've just asked for that to be put in, because the only way it'll be put in there is through the council. It's the only way that that gets money, that and interest. So that's why we started investing money, this maintenance money that we can't use, but just for reconstructions, trying to build that up. So that's the reason why, to give you an example, Greenfield's built there up to 4 million. I know there's a big difference, but I'm just saying that's how they've done it. So we've learned from going surveyors meetings to learn how they've done that. We just don't have as much to deal with to build it up as fast. So that's why we're doing it. I think 1 or 2 years, you weren't here. I think they give us 10. I think it was before some of you got on this board. Then they cut it back to 0. Then they went back to 5 last year. So if they've got to cut that back, I mean, that is something that could be cut that be all right with, because we're doing all right with our maintenance. Yeah.
you have 141
Yeah.
this year. I mean, is that something we could cut all the way back or do you?
Yeah, I'd say, I hate to, but it's the only way to build.
Well, I mean,
But
you
You could, but.
I guess I'm a little confused because I thought, Chad, the other day, you said that we've already got a balanced budget. So why, if we've got a balanced budget and it's not going to be detrimental, why would we cut it by 5,000?
Because anything we free up in the general fund can be used for raises.
I understand
outside
that,
of So
but
yes, that's. that's the reason that I would be in.
I
in
look
favor
at some of the
doing that.
other that we didn't cut anybody, cut anybody,
What about cutting half? I mean, if you don't, I understand.
I mean,
That's why-
here's the thing, here's my reasoning, Steve, is I don't see taking money and just sitting it in a savings account when we can take it and use it to put it in people's raises.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
my,
but it also will assist in doing drain maintenance. Is that correct?
Yeah,
no, could they already have a very solid balance
Okay.
though?
it could change. It just depends on what jobs I do. We did 16 reconstructions this year. They're getting more expensive. That's the reason why
Right.
we're trying to build that up, because the price of pipe and everything and maintenance of the contractors' equipment stuff has went up. It's tripled.
Mm-hmm.
So now it's slowed us down a little bit because we don't have the money to borrow. We just haven't done a great big one because we're doing smaller ones, trying to just go with.
Use with what you
Yeah, I
can.
mean, you're looking at some of these counties are doing $300,000 in one job. I mean, so we just can't do that big a job. And I don't want to drain my GDI down to nothing, because if I get an emergency and I've got to do something, at least I've got some money put back.
I would be okay going half, keeping 5 for everything you said. I know every cost of everything, every department head's coming up saying
It's
Yeah,
just,
they're going up 1%, but their costs are going up 10%. So it's a never ending battle.
right.
Debbie, can you tell us when's the last time you actually spent anything out of that fund?
And I can't tell you that because Ruth's not here, but I would have looked, but I know we have spent some out of that. We just did some out of there on a job that was a legal drain that was shut off. And I had to borrow from it to do the work because it wasn't bringing in assessments. So there's a one-time deal. You can bring up to so much money, take it over and use it on that, but you'll never get it back because it's not bringing in assessments. So that's one of the times I've used it. I would say this year we probably used not much out of it because of the fact that we can only do so many jobs a year. I had 16 jobs go out and they're working on them now. So, weather permitting's where it really affects me. The rain this year, it's been disastrous trying to get
Yeah,
stuff.
this rain, weather, humidity has been
Next year,
nuts
it might
this
be
year.
dry like the last 2 years. Yes.
Yeah, I know your jobs are very weather dependent.
It's weird,
We've
yeah.
You've talked about it a lot, so.
Right.
Yeah, so I'm kind of with Kenan. I would be, if you're amenable to it, I would feel a little better about dropping it back down to the 5 this year.
Okay.
Unless you had a project you knew was coming up. That's why I wanted to ask
Yeah,
that question.
no, not real close here. I've got enough on the books right now. I'm doing.
So I guess-
Keep me busy, so.
I guess we need to see what everyone else. I guess we need to see what everybody else feels.
Well, I said my piece.
Okay, so Bobby's a no on that.
I'm good with 5.
Okay, Jay, how do you feel?
Yep.
Depleted, if you need to,
Now, there's one thing about it, you know, I don't want to say this, but it gets in the uproar and everything. I know one time they had to borrow from our funds. Got to be paid back in the same physical year. Well, I don't want that, but it, you know, it doesn't kill us, but that money's always there. So it's like, even though it's an account where we got it, it's still in the general fund in my book, in your control if you need it. That's.
And trust me, I appreciate that as a brand new, because I came into that mess
Yeah,
where
you
we
did.
had $750,000 borrowed from you guys. Fortunately, I think since then, we've tightened the belt on this side and made sure, and we now have, you know, a reasonable cushion on our end, fortunately, but.
part of that could be because we have contributed to that.
No, it's in the general, the cushion's in the general fund.
You talk about the insurance cushion.
I guess my question is the ability for the.
So we did.
The ability for the council to have been able to use that was because the
We-
surveyor's office was able to save that money, and did the council's contribution from the general fund assist in that?
So the council did not borrow from this fund. They actually borrowed from drainage fund. Because it was $750,000. This fund only has 141,000 in it.
Okay.
So they actually, it was the council prior to Kenan and I coming
Right.
in. They actually borrowed from the drainage fund,
What,
that has a
Can I make a
much
suggestion?
larger number.
what if you cut, you know, we keep our belt real tight. I know you see money in front of you, especially on our budget. We'll have it at the end of the year, and I've been asked that before. You know, when you got money left over, we don't go out and just buy stuff for our office, just because we want it. We buy office equipment at the end of the year. We watch what we use. Sometimes we use more other stuff than we do others. So that's why we wait to the end to try to buy our office supplies. If I would be willing to cut 5% off of my budget, not hers, because her budget has never been built up. She's got some stuff coming up, and I'll let her explain that on some of the stuff. She's done a phenomenal job with this department on the GDI. So if you cut my office supply, my stuff in here 5%, I'd be willing this year, but I'd look to get it back next year if I have to.
Well, I know you actually raised all your office
That's
supplies by
right. So
10%.
I'm willing, you know.
You were the only office that did in the county, and no
Yeah,
one's,
so. that's
really
what
talked
I
about
say.
that,
So
but-
things were going up a little bit more, so I just sort of planned out. I hadn't done it for 5 years. I've come back with the same budget every year for 5 years in a row. So I'm just saying, if they have to do that, you know, I'm not opposed to that, to do that. Or if you got to take it back down to the regular amount I had last year. So that's fine with me. I'm just throwing it out there.
I heard you say, could we go 5 when we were talking about cutting it? That's why I said, let's
Yeah.
go 5.
We're taking the.
we still haven't decided. Jay, Jay, I think you're not in agreement to that, is it when
I'm struggling with it.
Okay. well,
I
I'll give you a second.
understand that point.
I'll give you a second. So,
Yeah.
because I know Scott was okay with it, Kenan was okay with it, I was okay with it. I guess I'll skip down to,
I feel like we're stripping over dollars to pick up nickels.
Yeah, we're
And-
splitting hairs.
I think $5,000 additional in there to be allocated to that fund is absolutely, the $10,000 is okay with me. Cutting it $5,000, it doesn't, in the overall scheme of the budget, really doesn't help us very much. If we're going to cut something just to cut something, that's where to do it, I guess. But I feel like it's not that big of a deal.
And you will have raises. I'm pretty sure there'll be money for raises for everybody. Appreciate you putting 0. One other department did too, but most people put 3%. Hopefully we can do that. I don't know. Too early to tell.
Shannon expressed similar concerns that I have, and I'm not in favor of removing that.
Okay, so we don't have a consensus, so we'll just have to. And so, and we can, yeah, we don't have a consensus since there's not a odd number of us. So, okay. Yeah, we don't have a consensus, so there's.
And Bobby said he's fine with that.
Yeah, I'm okay 5 or 10, so let's just leave it at 10 and move on.
Okay, anything else then you wanna?
I have stuff. It's not for the surveyor. It's for just, I think it got put on the commissioner's budget. I'm looking to upgrade our GIS licensing this year. I don't know if you guys have seen this come through their budget or if they've done it or not. So we are running like older versions of the Esri software. It's kind of an old like schema where we're doing per computer. It limits us to what we can do. And eventually we're going to have to upgrade. This year I have the opportunity to use basically a brand new server that's coming from Lisa in the recorder's office. That's a server she no longer needs. I think it's about a $25,000 server. She's going to let me use it for GIS. So I feel like this is the year we need to go ahead and upgrade the software. I have a quote from Esri. The software this year is $21,000. I have been working with Esri and a couple local firms to help us with installation. My cheapest quote at this point is $18,000 to help with the installation process. And that's to set up the servers and the relational database and to do the firewall. It's kind of a complicated, I don't know what Jeff said, it's a complicated install. So Jeff and I might be able to do it, but we were both saying it'd probably be helpful to have professionals come in and make sure this is right. So we don't expose any of our GIS data or any of our data, out to the public. So after the initial 21,000, it's just a maintenance fee every year. Right now I'm paying $8,000 a year. Well, the commissioners, the general fund are paying $8,000 a year for our annual license. After this 1 year of, about $40,000, it's going to go back to about $8,000 every year for the annual maintenance fees.
So since Jeff's not here, I met with Lisa and Jeff and Angie last week, to go over all of this. And Jeff is in agreement that makes more sense, and I am too, as I'll take my council hat off and put my IT hat on. It makes more sense to have a company come in. It's more secure, more safe. We don't open ourselves up or open the network up to having somebody doing it the other way.
But I think it's something that's needed.
I absolutely do, yes.
'Cause that's.
There is so many things that this software will allow every department to do and have better
Yeah,
information.
and that's the thing. So it allows also, it's really, because right now we're trying to do some field mapping. So like with the health department, they're trying to be out in the field and mapping like their mosquito thing and the septics. And the software licensing we have right now is just really limiting that and not making it a real feasible, workable thing to do. But I would like to have Tom, if he's out in the field and he wants to upload pictures and go right to our geodatabase, or if he wants to upload things in the field when he's looking at his properties. I want to be able to do online interactive maps and potentially, although I don't know how Braden feels about it, like maybe public input maps. So you can map out potholes that you see in the road or problem areas. It's just things that all the other counties are doing that we don't have the ability to do with our licensing right now. And then we're going to have to do it eventually. I've got that free server coming up from Lisa, which is amazing. So I think now's the time to do it.
I've got a question for Debbie, probably. The other day on Monday, this is under contractual services. You had the GIS software.
It's all under the commissioner's budget.
Yeah, it's in
Right,
the
that's what we're
commissioner's
looking at. You had
budget. Those
So that's
two
the hard
items
item,
that went up,
hard-
that
Lao
Yeah.
was the other one. It went up.
the computer
It's
equipment and
just all-
programs went up and the contractual services went up. I had question marks on it, and I believe they just responded and answered those questions.
I think they're just all dumped in one
That-
bucket.
That's,
are.
that's
Yeah.
part of it.
Those
Yep.
Separate line items,
I
so
just-
it's,
yeah.
And as a-
really can't come up with, we'll have to wait. We'll meet with the commissioners this afternoon, but definitely see the
recovering
need and
technology
definitely
guy,
Understand the,
I
think we
agree
all-
that we need
I
to.
think we all know we're
Yeah.
growing with
Yeah.
everything we're doing with this thing, and it is
Yeah.
exploding with needing capacity and updated and stuff, because she's brought it from down here to
And-
up here, and we still need to go. It's just going every year, going up with.
And I
stuff.
don't know if everybody understands, when we go to Beacon, when the public goes to Beacon, we see this much of Beacon.
Right.
There are specific secure logons that they can see other things that the public doesn't need to see for security reasons or whatever. I mean, that layer goes very deep. And again, it will affect and give more information to every single department that uses Beacon now.
Well, it saves a lot. I mean,
Mhm.
I can sit at my desk, if I want to pull up a culvert pipe,
Mhm.
I want to know the size, when they inspected it, what the inspection said and everything, I could pull it right up on Beacon.
Mhm.
Before, you had to go out there and visually see it.
You're
And so
exactly
she's
right.
Putting everything on the highway, streets, roads, I mean, signs, I mean, it's got, Joe's put everything
is.
on there. I've put way more than what I'm on it. We're running real hard on this thing, and it packs it in real quick on these servers. That's. really-
And I want to give Lisa a kudos shout
Yes,
out for
I'll say,
giving up her server. I mean, she did go to the cloud and her server is very good and relatively new. And that is going to save the county. I think it was 900 and almost a terabyte of data that will come off of the county other servers that will go onto this new server.
Yeah.
Anyone that doesn't understand a terabyte of data, I'm just going to say in layman's terms, it's a lot.
now,
So I run dental offices on less than a terabyte of data and they have digital x-rays 3D. So it's a lot of
So
lot of
she's
space.
donating that as.
She's-
Yes, she is donating.
donating it.
Yes, she is just donating that to that department. So thank you, Lisa, for doing that.
I concur, although I do have a question, and that was where I was heading is as a recovering IT guy. I completely agree. Outsourcing the installation and configuration and all that stuff is the way to go. The cost for upgrading is actually less than I thought it would be. Did you guys investigate moving all that data to the cloud at all?
I did, it makes sense, because it's an annual, so an annual fee in the cloud. But since we had the server from Lisa for free, like, that's just there and I can store, it's got plenty of room for all of my GIS data, so it just made sense to use it.
Does that server have backup capabilities or redundancy capabilities that?
Oh,
Does,
absolutely.
it also
Jeff
Okay.
configured that server. There is not a server in this county that doesn't have redundancy.
Completely understand. I
It
just,
does, yeah.
as that data grows, so
Yes,
does
there
the
is
backup
redundancy.
and
Yes,
redundancy. And
yes.
so at some point in time, we may be forced to go to the cloud, I guess, if we, I'm not saying that's now, I completely fine with what you're projecting. I just asked if it was a possibility, so.
Yeah, and with Enterprise, Esri has like their own cloud storage. So if we had to at some point, we can transfer stuff directly to the Esri cloud storage that works with Enterprise and move seamlessly.
Thank
if we
you.
Had to down the road.
I just told Scott, I said, I'm old school. I personally don't like the cloud. I don't. Because when you're down, you're down. I have clients that use the cloud for their dental oral surgeon, and when the internet's down, guess what? Their office can't function.
So
So-
I guess I'll ask you this. You're almost doubling because when you get your information in there, you got to back up. So you got to store that double.
Right
almost.
now, it's stored at 3 different times. So when I update the geodatabase, there's a copy that goes to a read-only that everyone in the county uses. A copy goes in a space that Schneider accesses, and a copy goes in a space that 911 accesses. So I've got 3 copies every night of our data.
okay, guys, anybody have any other questions for these folks? Appreciate you coming out. Thank you. We got nothing in his budget. It's the end of the day.
Thank you. very
Scott,
much.
Scott and I
very
are just talking
welcome.
about, we love paper. I'm an IT person, but I want paper because I know that IT stuff doesn't work all the time. So. What? I know. No, nothing, no, not pointing to you.
I think personal.
Thanks, guys.
Okay, we have a little bit of time before, I think Lisa's coming at 9:15. Was that right, Scott?
Yes. Yep.
Okay, so Debbie was working on coming up with the numbers. What I said is that I think we have to kind of decide. Jason came up with the number of 18.7 as our general fund budget, as where we're at. I know that the council last year, when two of the three that are still on the council are in the room here, they opted to budget above projected from Baker Tilly because they felt Baker Tilly's number was very conservative. So I think we need to decide kind of where we're wanting to shoot for this year as an opinion.
Well, I stated mine earlier, at the, meeting for the fire department lit, we stayed standard that it was Baker Tilly's number, and those are the numbers we used in order to appropriate any additional monies. And I think that if we use that standard to not give them additional monies because it was going to go into the negative potentially, then we need to be consistent and stay with the Baker Tilly numbers.
I would like to go with Shannon's numbers because using Baker Tilly's last year, we went from a general fund balance of 54% to 63%. I think his conservative estimate of lit certified chairs of 506,000 would give us 61.5%, which would 61.5% compared with 0% in 2019. I feel very, very secure with.
Have a thought.
Bobby, I appreciate what you're saying. The difference, I think, in my mind, is between the public safety lit and the general fund is the general fund has a much more robust balance.
I understand that, but
Can I please speak?
Yep.
Thank you.
I'm just saying, I understand that.
Okay, so that is the difference in my mind, but that being said, I want to hear what Shannon's number is, because the difference, and that's where, because I don't know that I'm willing to go well above the Baker Tilly number. I feel like there's a couple things that are left out of the Baker Tilly number. One, there's zero increase whatsoever. And so that we're not looking at an increase, at all. And plus the cuts, when I look at the increase, we averaged the increase somewhere in the 2 to 6% range is kind of been the average over the past few years. So I would be more comfortable bumping it a few $100,000, but don't know that I'd be willing to bump it millions per se.
I put that spreadsheet together and saw the way we estimated things based on historical averages in the past. Really shot that number up again by 7.5%. And that's why I cut that to 3.75%, because I was not comfortable with a 7.5% increase anticipated in income tax collections. It just doesn't make any sense to me. I'm not certain that the 3.75% is something that I feel comfortable budgeting to. I think I said on Monday that I would be in favor of a 2.7% increase, which is what they're asking for the cost of living adjustment from the Social Security Administration. I think that's something that we can hang our hat on that will provide a little bit of a bump. I don't think that we will get ourselves in trouble by doing that at all. I think that's a good conservative estimate. I think we all can agree that it's probably not going to be a 0% increase in income tax collections next year. And that gives us a chance to budget a little bit closer to what we think actual will be and not go crazy. So that's my thought and opinion.
What's that number equal to?
The dollar amount?
2.7, what, yes.
Give me just a second, I'll find it.
So let me ask you, Yeah, just for clarity's sake, while you're looking there, when you're saying 2.7%, are you
Mhm.
saying 2.7% above the 18.7 million that Baker Tilly's estimating, or 2.7% above last year's number?
I'm saying 2.7% above in certified shares lit. That's it. I'm not saying 2.7% of that overall number. What happened, if you look at the top of the page of the general fund from Baker Tilly, they actually show an increase in certified property taxes from 10.2 million to 10.239 to 10.413. And then they also show an increase in our property tax credits, which reduces that number. And then also the effects of Senate Enrolled Act 1, which reduces that again. So they actually show our net property tax going down by from 8.84 million to 8.415 million. So roughly a $400,000 decrease in property taxes. That's what their budget shows us. If you look at the certified shares from Lit, we actually brought in 5.6 million, 5.611 million in 2025, and they carried that number through 26 and 27. 5.611 is what they put in there. Over the past years, you can see in 2022, it was 4.84. In 2023, it was 4.95. In 2024, it was 5.27. And then it went to 5.611 last year for 2025. I think that number is going to grow. I do not believe it's going to stay stagnant at 5.611. I do not believe it's going to grow by 7.5%, which is what the historical data gives us. That's why I suggested 2.7%. And if we grow the certified shares, if we predict certified shares lit to grow by 2.7%, then all the other lits would grow by that same amount. What we're saying is the income tax collected in Henry County will grow by 2.7% of what was collected in 2025.
Anybody figure out that dollar amount?
I'm getting there. Hold on a minute.
Should be about 350,000, I think. Which would still leave us a general fund balance over 60% compared with 0% in 2019. And I remember Jason.
So a negative percent.
Well, yeah, back in 2019. But I remember in 2024, when we had a balance over 50%, he was applauding us big time. He said, I didn't think you'd ever get there, especially in 4 years. And it would be 60% at your 2.7%.
So in that estimate, the certified shares to the general fund instead of 5611 would be 5.762422, 5,762,422 in certified shares. I also have estimates for the supplemental, but I'm not willing to go out on a limb and say that we're going to get any supplemental next year. I think next year is a mess at the State House. And I think if they choose to hold on to some, although you heard Jason say on Monday that they passed a law that said they're going to keep 5% instead of 15, which means they should be returning a chunk to us. And because that's how that works. The supplemental is basically anything that they've collected above that 15% retainer, they return to us in supplemental. So theoretically, that supplemental should go up. Theoretically. In reality, I don't know what the state's going to do with that money. Could they choose to hang on to it and try to solve their own budget problems? I think they could.
And DLGF always recommends to not use the supplement, and so does Baker Tilly. And
Yeah, and the DLGF is supposed to go away, or the DLGF, I'm sorry, the supplemental is supposed to go away based on the laws that were passed starting, I think, in 2019 to decrease the income tax amount collected by the state. So they collect an income tax amount and they have been slowly decreasing that, which is forcing us to increase as well. So when that actual supplemental runs out, I don't know, but it wouldn't shock me at all for them to hold on to it and not return it to us in 2026. So I would be in favor of not budgeting for the supplemental. And I estimate the supplemental and certified shares next year could be, if based on that historical 5-year average, could be $506,000. And if we get it, great, fantastic for us, but I do not feel comfortable budgeting to that $506,000.
I'm a conservative budgeter. I don't budget my household based upon what I think I might get more. I am self-employed and I can make more money in my business, which means I can personally take more money, but I budget my household based upon the least amount because you never know. I just don't believe that it's prudent to, I mean, why are we paying Baker Tilly if we're not gonna take their advice? But that's my own personal opinion. If everybody else wants to move forward, that's fine, but I don't believe in budgeting more than what we think and what we've been told. And, you know, if we're going to take Baker Tilly's number and tell them that they're wrong, then why are we paying Baker Tilly for a comp plan?
They're just very conservative.
Yes, they are. They are conservative, which in a financial advisor, I want them to be conservative. I don't want them to go way off the deep end and then all of a sudden we've got a, holy crap, they're not conservative and they were wrong.
No, even with their very conservative numbers, they project us to have an $11 million balance in the general fund next year. And every year they're conservative and they even included their estimation of the negative effect of SEA 1 of 540,000, which is probably pretty accurate. At any rate, we just keep building and building, but there's a lot of uncertainties on the horizon with Senate Bill 1. So I'm flexible, but we just keep building it. I'd like to see that go to things.
Anybody have anything else they'd like to add before we jump over to Lisa here? Because obviously we'll have to pick this back up and when Stebby gets all the numbers figured out and see where we actually land to decide what we can do, if anything, on as far as raises and stuff like that. So what this is going to boil down to.
You need to buy that catch box, that little blue box. You need to buy, that's the microphone.
And will be held against you.
If y'all don't mind, before we get started with Lisa, I got a reminder that the sheriff's office and law enforcement will be holding some training exercises and some incident review stuff here. So there will be additional law enforcement outside that will be doing some things. I just wanted to remind everybody, don't get nervous if you go out there. There's no big incident happening. They are training today, so there'll be a lot of folks out there.
Thank you, Lisa, for coming out here to see us. We're kind of doing this very informally this year. I think the big question that came up with your budget was that additional employee. And, you know, that's why it was requested that from one of the council members that you come to meet with us to talk about that. So, you know, you're welcome to talk about anything in your budget. Obviously, there's not a lot of stuff in your budget other than that, but I just wanted to kind of appreciate you coming out here. So I'll turn it over to the council to, if questions, thoughts, concerns for Lisa on that, the additional employee.
I just want to say that Lisa did come to our June council meeting to talk about taking this to full-time, and we requested her to put it in her budget to discuss it. So I don't think it's that big of a surprise because we requested her to do that.
It's not technically an additional employee. It's the same employee. We just moved her from part-time to full-time because she was going to leave if she didn't get part-time. She was going to find a part-time job, a full-time job. So I didn't want to have to replace her. So I came to you and asked to make her full-time. You approved. I am paying her currently out of perpetuation fund. I would prefer than not have to continue to do that forever, but I have to.
has any other department added any additional employees? Any sheriff's department, part-time, highway, anybody else?
911 was talking about that on Monday.
They have,
Well, they have unfilled positions.
they have unfilled positions.
don't
It's not
have
an
any-
additional for
oh.
next year.
So
It's
no.
the
Same with the
same.
sheriff's department. I think they have unfilled positions,
Correct.
but no one's we have departments.
Additional Position.
Well, it's an additional full-time position. Let me qualify that. Sorry. There, no
Well, it
one
takes
is,
away the part-time and takes it to full-time. It's a half a
I
position.
have 2 part-time positions that I'm not going to fill. I'm just gonna leave them. In the past, Linda had 2 part-time positions. I'm not gonna have those part-time positions. Yes.
The part-time would be out of perpetuation.
Okay.
yeah. And I think that's the big concern because we have other departments that are actually cutting people in, you know, things. And so that was the big question is we have departments that are cutting people and, you know, you're wanting to move 2 part-time positions to a full-time position from the perpetuation fund to the general fund. And then on top of that, when you do that, that obviously it adds all of the perf. It adds the medical insurance availability, whether they take it or not. This person may not, the next person might. So we always have to accommodate for that. I mean, and those things in themselves add up to tens of thousands of dollars in top of the salary. So, I mean, for this position, you're looking at an impact to the general fund of probably in the mid-60s. 65,000, give or take, dollars, just for rough math, by the time you throw in insurance benefits and retirement perf. So that would be the actual impact to the overall general fund.
I have a couple of repetitive questions. We've talked about it, but what comes out of your perpetual fund? How much was in it? How much goes in it? Just give us little
Perpetuation fund today.
rough idea is fine. Okay.
It's gone down. I did look at that when you did the June.
And what's the average receivable per year?
And just let us know what you use that for, please.
Use it for everything. All the things, everything's for full-time employees. I pay for all my software, all my paper, all my ink pens. Every expense in my office is paid for out of the perpetuation fund except for my full-time employees.
Bobby,
All my postage, everything.
when you come in to
We have one more day in the month, but I will be adding at the end of the month, I will be adding $32,395,000 to the general fund.
To the general fund?
Well, she collects fees.
That's
She
fees.
collects fees for the surveyors.
Mhm.
uh,
Election fund, the elected officials.
This month, I will put $2,845,000 into the Surveyor's Corner Fund, $569 into Elected Official Training Fund, and $13,778,000 into my own fund.
Yeah. And see, none of those are actually the general fund. Those are separate.
Go into the general.
I'm confused. What do you put in the, because all you do is collect fees for. the
Right, so
surveyor
the
and the-
So all the rest when we separate the surveyor, the corner fund and the elected official trading fund, the rest of that goes to the general fund.
But when your perpetuation.
Some of it does, but not all of it.
I was gonna say, I don't ever remember a deposit to the general fund from, I know there, do you collect funds by state statute that go to different other funds? But I didn't think any of that ended up in the general fund.
Perpetuation fund is $13,000 on here. The mortgage fund, $327.
Only very quick question.
Mhm.
What fund number are they going? That's
I can't read it.
Is it for 1,000? the first floor.
She doesn't have her glasses on.
Let me know when I can talk.
That's as of today. I mean, I don't know what we'll collect today, but and tomorrow.
Go ahead, Ken, and I think they're trying to figure this out because,
Are you sure?
yes, sir.
Okay. Bobby, you were commending a Lisa, I assume this Lisa, because it's the only Lisa I know, for allowing the surveyors and the GIS for using a server. Is that correct?
Yes, she bought that server for when she transitioned to Fiddler last year. She bought it out of the perpetuation fund. I don't remember what the cost was, $25,000. And now they have transitioned to the cloud, Fiddler's cloud. And so she doesn't need the server, so she is giving that $25,000 server to GIS.
Okay. So your expenses in 2025 in the perpetuation fund has been like 122,000 through June.
It's
Revenues,
been a little higher because of the software transition, but we're also making more money because of that software transition.
How-
Previously, we didn't make money when people logged in online to get copies of their documents. We just got the dollar copy fees only. Now with the new software, we also get income from them getting access.
and that's the Fiddler software that Bobby alluded to.
Making money just for them having online access.
How's the training? Because when we spoke about 6 months ago, you said it was a pretty strong learning curve. Is that coming along?
Really well, and that's one of the reasons also that Grace has become valuable because she's the youngest person in our office. So she picked up the new software really quickly and she has become our in-house trainer when the rest of us need help, have a problem. Grace.
Is she the part-time or?
She was part-time when this started. You approved her full-time July 1st,
But it's currently paid out of perpetuation.
currently paid out. for
So the question is whether they take that to the general fund, right? Yeah, okay.
Today. And I'm not saying Lisa doesn't need an employee, but I would put my 2 cents in, Angela's laid off 3 people. And I understand that she's completely different fund than county general. But that's not fair to say because Angela doesn't have the money from her funds that she has to lay off, but yet we're gonna let county general hire. I just think that's wrong, and that kind of looked, that would hurt them around, Angela's department, because they're down to 1 nurse.
Yeah, I saw that in their budget. When I know they got a plaque 4 years ago for saving the county over $100,000 by cutting 3 people when we were in the red. And I think your department,
Yeah, 3 too.
you cut 3, maybe 3, 3.5. You cut 3. What? Well, I think they had 3.5. And we can only afford 1 plaque because we were running in the red. All right, I've said enough.
I think that's my hardest point is that it's, we're cutting people, so it's hard to put an additional into the general fund. I mean, in your perpetuation fund, that's, you can pretty much decide and I can't remember honestly what we decided to do with the health insurance and the perf. Is that paying out a perpetuation fund now too? I thought it was. So I mean, that's where I'm arm wrestling in my head right here.
Stuff for those other offices?
Jenny pays for her office supplies out of her perpetuation, Steve pays for some of his, prosecutor.
Prosecute all of his, pretty much any department that does have one does do that. Yeah, that's pretty much any department that does do that as well. So there are departments that don't have those funds. I mean, but
Jody-
reassessment, yeah.
Just want to clarify one thing on the math. The fees she collects that go to general and the fees that she collects that go to surveyor do not go in the perpetuation. Right, okay.
And she puts $56,000 into the general.
Right.
fund.
And whether you pay for this employee out of perpetuation or not, you still have to put that same amount to general. You have to put that same amount to surveyor. Got it. Still earn it.
Every dollar is allocated to a certain place, no matter what. I think.
What do you say?
And the expenses that I've paid in the last 6 or 8 months out of perpetuation for software, those will all slow down now. There were some big chunks paid. I bought that new server last year, which in retrospect, I shouldn't have when I was gonna make the decision to switch software providers, but now it's going to a good use, which is why I want it to go to good use to someplace else in the county. So I feel good about that it's going to GIS. So, but those, now we'll be recouping some of those big expenses from this software rollover.
I was gonna say, so now we come to the hard part. We gotta make that decision on how we want to move forward with this.
I wasn't at the meeting where you requested to move a full-time to part-time to full-time. But in my opinion, and I understand the paying it out of the perpetuation fund until we could have a discussion about it. It's not like we're adding a county employee. This person is a county employee and they are a full-time equivalent right now. So I think that that is not adding an employee to the county. That was already done. And it's really a matter of where it gets paid from. And I would be in favor of leaving that employee in the county general budget, not paying it out of the perpetuation fund. We went round and round these last couple of years about, we had so much departments paying for raises out of their perpetuation fund because the county general didn't have the money over several years. And I don't even remember how many departments we had doing that, but it made budgeting a mess, a real mess. And I firmly believe that a full-time equivalent position, which we've already created when she came before us before, needs to be paid out of the county general fund, not out of the perpetuation fund. That's my opinion.
Are there any other departments that pay for a full employee out of perpetuation? No, no one else in the county does. Okay.
I'm in agreement with
I
Shannon.
don't think that anybody's actually employee, so to be able to have to make a decision between perpetuation.
That's because.
Completely understand. And that decision was already made by this group in June or whatever meeting it was. So
Because you're taking 2 part-time, turn it into 1 full-time. So that's why the move. Okay.
correct me if I'm wrong, but the perpetuation funds were created as an option from the state, and paying personnel was actually the whole intent was to pay part-time personnel out of that, not full-time. I don't know that the law defines it as that, but you can. I don't disagree with that, but the intent of the ordinance or the code that was put in place was to pay part-time. So.
And I appreciate everything that Shannon is saying. An additional concern I have is, like we've already been expressed, that, you know, we're cutting people over here. The auditor's office cut,
That's
the clerk's office cut. When I look at comparable counties, you have more full-time employees than in pretty much any of the counties our size. You have comparables to counties that are double our size. And so that's where it's a little harder, because you have yourself and then at this point, 4 full-time employees. I mean, when you look at that Delaware County has that many. I mean, they're 2.5 times our size of population. And so that's where I have another potential concern that, when I have other departments that have cut, like the clerk's office back here and Debbie's office has cut several and, and we're actually, if you look at our comparables in those types of offices, we're on the low end of the numbers for counties comparably sized. And so I try to be very equitable amongst all of the departments. And if it comes out of the county general, then I have somewhat of an opinion with it. If it comes out of your fund, you can do your fund because you have all control in your fund. And so if that's what, so that's where I'm wrestling, just to be real straight. That's kind of where I'm wrestling at, Lisa. And so I'm on the fence, to be honest with you, that just because I want to be equitable to these departments that I know cut people because they figured out how to do that and they took those positions and those work related activities and just enveloped them into the other employees they had and managed to save the general fund significant amounts of money by doing that. I mean, these departments have cut hundreds of thousands of dollars.
I understand.
And now
your
we have another
concern, Sheriff.
department. And then when I look at your workforce number and it's equal to counties much, much larger than ours, that's my other concern.
I understand your concern and I appreciate it. And I feel like that was a strong topic of concern that should have been had during the meeting that she came and asked for that. And we're past that now.
Well, I will
So-
say I voted for that. I actually made the second motion for the intent of having the discussion that we've been having the last 10 minutes. I did not make that second thinking it was a done deal. I wanted to have that discussion because that's the purpose of the.
In my
budget hearing.
opinion, you can't put a full-time equivalent employee on and then 30 days later take her off or make,
No.
she's a full-time employee now and she's,
I don't know. Angela did it and she's laying people off.
Angela's a different story and she's in here at 10 o'clock and we need to have a discussion about personnel in the health department and how that whole budget goes. And that's okay. And I think that she didn't do that because we forced her to move employees into her perpetuation fund. She's doing that because the Health First Indiana funds were cut by hers were what, $1 million almost, right? So we need to have a discussion about her budget and how that changes the impact of the tax rates and what that's going to look like.
Well,
And we can do that. But I feel like that's a completely different discussion. Angela just added all those employees last year, expecting that Health Fund Indiana was going to continue, and it did not. So I get it, but we can have that discussion with Angela. This
agree.
fund though is,
I made the motion thinking we would have that discussion. And we had no
unfortunately, I think
discussion.
we should have had that discussion when it
Well,
happened.
We didn't. That's my rationale for making that, so we'd have that discussion.
Well, I think.
And we are having it now.
I agree that I think my thought pattern, I think when we went through the meeting back in May was, can she go ahead and do this? And there's nothing, she just asked us if she could do that. She was willing to pay for it at the time, was going to ask for us to do it at this time. And then this is the time we had that discussion. That was the way it was. And, and in my mind, it's very, very similar to what Angela did because she even told these people going in that this is what we're doing today. Things may change. And I'm assuming you told your employee, this is what we're doing today. We're going to try to do this next year, but we may not be able to, and this may stay the same. And so I guess if she can still afford the employee in that fund and you choose to have that employee in that fund, then I fully support your ability to do that. It's just, I have a hard time on this side too. It's a very tough position that I'm in my mind, and I hope you appreciate that because I'm arm wrestling in my head because I absolutely, your department's done great. You've taken and you accelerated your IT. You have, the capabilities that you provide to the general public and these title searchers and all these other things now that you have, you've really elevated your department and that's awesome. But it's an arm wrestle that sitting up here in this chair sucks sometimes.
Did your workload increase?
Yeah, we now have all of our documents online from 1990 back to 1870 now. available online. And we are,
Me too, eventually.
all of those off now. So that's what we're working on a daily basis, back indexing all of those.
But once you get them all up there, well, then that,
Years.
Yeah.
all of that.
yeah, it's just, it's a lot of data.
Think we've talked, time to vote.
We
I
need
think
to,
it's
I
time
don't,
to make a
I
decision.
don't think we can
because
vote,
we're-
but we
we're
need to come
cutting
to a
into-
consensus.
We need to come to a
Let me say-
consensus. I mean, and deciding whether or not, I think the question at hand is this third deputy line here, the 1,000.06. Do we take it back to one employee in the general fund? Because in my opinion, what we decide here has no bearing on the employee. The employee, it just doesn't matter where the employee's pay comes from. And so, the bearing on the employee falls with Lisa because she gets to make that decision. She's the elected official in that department. Our decision here is whether we fund that employee out of the 1,000.06 line item and the perf and the insurance out of the commissioner's budget, or if we deny that here and then Lisa chooses to just continue to do that in her fund. I think that's the just choice here. So I guess we'll take a consensus.
I'm in favor of leaving the employee in the 2026 budget.
Same.
Same.
Okay, well, you have a consensus.
Thank you.
Thanks, Lisa.
Thanks, Lisa.
I'm gonna go ahead and add all of the two new positions back in for the sheriff's department since you did that one. So with the salaries, the budget that we have and the salaries, if we put back in 2025 salaries with no raises, takes it to 16,063,000.
So there was two new positions in the sheriff's office?
The new positions, I don't know what they are. There was just new positions.
They-
Okay, well, I was confused because I asked.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry, I thought they were new positions.
No, they just shifted line items. Yeah,
Sorry, I was confused.
So it takes it to 16,063,128 without any raises.
okay, 16 million. And we're at 18 million. So,
Yeah, you wouldn't believe, I'm very shocked, but you take these wages out.
yeah,
I mean, like $16,000. Not even that. 14 minus 14,000. Anyway.
but they added up to $2 million in wage increases,
Well, yeah, but you stop and think what the sheriff would do.
but that came out of lit. Did you take that out of the lit or the general?
No, for even
The
the
other?
CEOs and everybody.
Okay.
Yeah, I took that budget way down.
Okay, because we advertised 18.8, right?
It took the sheriff's budget.
Sorry, Jenny, we'll be with you just a second, okay? Sorry. I know, we'll work. Yeah, you guys can come up front there.
Because they put in the sheriff's budget, put in.
In the box.
That still seems like a lot. We only have 10 departments and then we put,
Go back through and refigure it, but that's what I came up with.
good morning, ladies. Thank you so much for coming. Sorry for the delay. So Jenny, we're doing this very kind of informally this year. So you won't, I think most of us have gone through the budgets. We've looked through everything. If you want to do line by line by line, we're happy to go that route. If you just want to tell us what your thoughts are and give us your info, happy to go that way. I'll take the lead from you.
Doing the clerk's budget first.
Sure, you're lucky number one, so let's start there.
We pretty much kept it the same, I believe. I don't know that there are any changes.
If you use 3%, raise?
I did do 3%. Typically, that's what we do.
Yeah, I looked through this and I didn't see anything that jumped off the page to me. I don't have a single question. Does anybody have any questions for Jenny on the clerk's budget?
No,
Okay, the next one is the election board. So next year is an election year, so imagine that, they raised the rate. So it is an election year. Again, this looks very much like what it has in the past. I didn't see anything that jumped off.
Did
the
you
page
say
to me.
062 election or?
Yeah, 062.
Okay, so we'll come back to 010 voter registration.
Oh, we can do voter registration. Yeah, sorry.
Just want to make sure we're on the same page.
So where are we going, 10 or 52?
We can do 10 since it's closer. Again, there's nothing really in here except for salaries. It's kind of very much like the clerk.
Yep.
number?
Budget 10, voter
Yeah.
registration.
no. Sorry.
It's, there's really nothing changed in that one. The only thing I saw changed really for you guys was the election. And of course, it's election year, so that's expected.
The only thing that really changed is longevity dropped, and I assume that's because Renee's retiring. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Congrats.
Is that a typical jump on an election year? The 87% from this year? I mean, that
Yeah.
it jumps about that much each election year, correct?
Yes, it does, because they don't budget for it.
Right.
So it's, that's about the average.
Okay.
That's, I mean, that's in my historical memory, that's what I'm seeing. You guys go from pretty much nothing to a whole bunch next year. Because this is the off year.
Mm-hmm.
Always have one off year in the cycle, but yeah, I don't have any questions on this, the election board budget. Does anyone have any questions for Renee or Jenny?
What was my historical memory all the way back to 1 year ago? Your repair and maintenance under the election was 38,000. What did that go for again? I do not remember.
38,000, that's where we budgeted for new batteries for our.
For the voter machines,
pad.
poll pads.
And then we ended up getting the grant from Secretary of State, so we may have. Would it go down?
Yeah, it dropped back down to 1,000.
Mm-hmm. Because they got the grant.
Budgeted, we had to put it in the budget for our new batteries. We ended up after budget last year, we were able to do a Hobbit grant.
Okay, so that's why you only used 5,700 of that 38 is because of that grant?
Thank you for going after that. It's general fund, appreciate it. Anyone have any other questions?
Too bad it's not non-reverting on that
Okay.
38,000.
As we just talked about perpetuation funds, Jenny has a perpetuation fund 1119.
It went up $100. You want to explain that? I'm kidding.
Yeah, again, this is pretty much the exact same. I didn't see any concerns. You guys?
Pay what we can out of the perpetuation. Of course, it's limited what we can use it for.
Sure.
We always try to pay out of that first before. And our 40 incentive fund the same. Those are limited what we can spend out of that, and we always use what we can out of that first before the general.
Yep. Again, we appreciate that because it helps the general fund. And I don't honestly have any questions about the perpetuation. And their 4D is 8899, sorry, it's very, very last page in our book. And again, it's very, very similar to what it does. And these are outside the general fund. These are fees you guys collect, right? Is it how you gather these funds? So, and they cover a lot of their miscellaneous stuff outside of these funds. So anyone have any questions on either one of those funds, the perpetuation or the 8899 and 40?
Nope.
It was very simple. I mean, we can go through line by line if you'd like, but I just think it's you did I mean, your budget looks great. Thank you very much. I appreciate all you do.
Thank you.
Good work.
Renee. Enjoy your retirement, but we'll miss you. I'm sure you are. Are you counting the minutes yet? Did he retire too, or are you? Oh, good.
Sure you don't want to hang in there one more election year?
You can run for office.
That's true.
That's what I did.
Thanks, Jim. See those pictures this morning, Danielle? Oh my God. Yes. Oh, Lord, that smile. I showed it to Debbie and she said, she's devious, isn't she? I'm like, yeah.
So if we take a
Yeah.
break before Angela gets here.
I want to take a quick break.
Yes.
Ian, are you going to be? Well, yeah, I heard that. I was just asking. I'm like.
No problem, come right to the horse's mouth.
Why not, Shannon?
I think there's only several. He thinks he's gonna hand a bunch of that stuff over to me. You just, you.
Are you running again, Shannon?
I have to make a decision today. You can be a little more braced. Come on, I'll bring it up and make this. I don't care. I don't know what he's twice. Hey guys, it's next. You have one more Shannon, one more year. Shannon and Mike and Robert. We're off again.
So I went.
And from what I can tell, probably no on 3 or 4. So, probably September. And then we actually were 2 more years out. Tuck here. I'm sitting on you. I'm saying you very, I'm not saying that much too. And I can. Maybe you could sit. Hey, Debbie, you put me down for a survey for budget. So.
Right, exactly. Sorry, you don't get them. Just saying.
That's true. No, she may not hear.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree with
We'll see. Well, my number question. The sheriff of 2,000 lot increase, public safety. What, how much of this? No, we moved a bunch. It's where you need to. Public safety now is. There's all kinds of changes in that email that I sent. You guys update the budget. Public safety, we have grown $7,000 over. So we took the, We reduced some stuff. We reduced stuff, we added some stuff. I mean, everything's in there. You're talking about the thing. There were like. There were. They all ran over, plus of the lens. That was, then we moved the, let's put it up at maintenance of the building into the jail. Yes. That's true. Yeah, so we're over, I estimated 7,000. Thank you, so I estimated around 7,000, so yeah, you did the exact match, my quick math on that was that. Okay. And we could accommodate that. Great was. Because we can't, so just to New Year, so whatever we put as an average. Jay probably. Maybe his history of sheriff's from here, but whatever we put advertises our budget, we can't go over that. Maybe come down. So that's why. We said, what do we ask? So whatever Debbie sends, the department send to Debbie and Debbie sends over to the state. That is our number, which on this thing, on this budget is $18,785,300. But we cannot go over that. Yeah. We can come down. We can't go up. To go up, next year we have to basically do it with appropriation, which is what happened in the past. So we just have to wait for January and then vote to appropriation. But yes, you have your locked in that as the maximum that we can submit to the state, the deal you have to give up, because they, 18 million.
So it was all the departments who actually drive that, was what they said.
Yes, they said, that's why historically, the auditor's office has always said, please always include a raise, whether or not we're gonna get one, because then that gives us some legal estimation. Okay. Yeah, so that's, we kind of walked into that, that's why we always try to do it with faith, and sure we get.
Are you alone here today? Yeah, everybody else is here.
Yeah.
It's a lot of. Well, good reason.
Right, but in those times, because we can take the left.
We can go down with this kangaroo. We can. A little bit actually. It just requires a little bit of a process.
Like, I'm gonna bring,
Okay. Well, which, and Angela Bates finished your process. What you're in trouble in that? Let me see. I did not treat it with brain problem. I don't know what I mean. But you did. I was looking. No, but it's over. Yeah, but it's not.
There's.
Okay.
Good morning, Angela. Thank you for coming in. So I know there have been some significant changes to your budget and things as far as,
Right, right.
so with the other departments, we've kind of like been very informal and not gone line by line. We can do it however you'd like to do it. I mean, you drive the ship here. You just tell me what you would like to do and we can, you will take lead from you.
Okay. I watched the previous one when Jason was here. So I have two questions, a request and I think a question. When we talk about the levy that the health department health fund is in, I know that I explained to you what Wagner, when it was back, or Baker Tilly back before they were whoever, Umbaugh, And when Commissioner Kronk was here and the particular session that I was in and the UMBA representative stated that it was the commissioners who drove that levy, you know, and we talked in a previous meeting this year about maybe having missed a deadline to have changed that levy. And then in the conversation 2 days ago, Jason made it sound like and thank you for asking that, because there is a year that I ended up not having as much carryover that I thought I should have. And I think that was why, Shannon.
That's exactly why. And that's
Yeah,
because apparently your levy doesn't fall into the same category as, I think it was at Hume Bridge. And so, based on what Jason told us the other day is based on your approved budget, that actually shifts the levy. It doesn't change,
so there's no
The overall-
process that we have to go through.
apparently not, which is what is contradictory to what I thought I'm more than just me, thought that's what he was telling us.
Exactly. And
A year and a
so I
half
think
ago.
moving forward, and knowing that I just might as well make this announcement. I'm going to retire at the end of the year. And so I
Hate to see you
need
go,
be able
by the way.
I have got it to where I believe that I can hire a replacement for me and be here for October, November, December, so that I can tutor them into this position, which I think is critical moving forward for the department. And so what I'm trying to do is to get standard operating procedures written up so that, you know, we can work better with that there won't be lapses and problems with bills and what have you. Where's the answer? I mean, I'm losing faith with DLGF by the minute, because I'm about tired of it's this way today and then it's this way tomorrow and and I get it that they're working with chaos, but what is the standard? What is the normal, what's the rules of engagement for us with the levy? And I don't know whether it's
So
Baker Tilly that
my-
we go to.
my understanding now is this right here is who decide, you know, we can set in your
Can we get
budget.
that in writing, Chad? Only
I have put
because
it in recording, so,
I know in the recordings, but you know,
but-
that's Jason Simler coming and making that statement, but his counterpart 5 years ago also made the statement to me in front of the commissioners that it was you know, it needs to be written
And
out.
it could be, because remember, the laws have changed multiple times.
See, that's,
So
That
that
may
is
be why.
why it's what it is. It changes all the time. So at the time, it could have been. the
It could have been
commissioners
that
when they
way.
Told you that, because it has changed since then, because
Okay.
everybody's in the same bucket.
yeah,
Okay.
we're all still playing the same game. The rules have just changed 20 times in the last 10 years.
Okay.
And that's the problem with DLGF. That's the problem with SBOA.
Oh, know.
I appreciate those folks, but you could call 3 different people and get 3 different answers today in
I
those
know. I
offices.
just-
And so because there's so much confusion, especially with all of these massive changes, just wait until 28 comes and we're all in a mess.
Between a levy and, a lit.
So
Levy is property taxes, lit is income taxes.
Lit is income tax.
that's the easiest way to put it, yeah.
Okay, so we have this autonomy or the ability to increase income tax, but we have a finite
This-
amount with the.
I think I've used that analogy of a pie before, and you've seen it. We get a pie of levy. And then this body gets to decide how big a piece of pie the general fund gets, how big a piece of pie the health department gets, and each person, we get to decide how, but we have this pie. We can't change the pie because the state says this is the biggest piece of pie you can get because they set their max levy. And I'm sure
That-
you've heard
That was my
And-
my
but-
main question was,
on the,
and we've increased everything else, can we increase that levy, but we can't because
No.
it's property tax.
we are set by the state. They give us, this is our max levy. This is the biggest pie we can get. On the lit side, the council has the ability to pass additional increases in lit tax up to a max. And once that max gets hit, then of course not, but yeah, kind of two totally separate ways of doing things, but the levy is just that big old piece of pie, that big pie, we get to chop up and divide out amongst everyone.
One of the things and I know Shannon, you're wanting to talk to. One of the things, for some reason, one of the Cume Bridge is one of those like yours is a separate tax base. The deadline for changing that is May 31st. The other three are later. I don't remember what the health department is. I think it's August.
According to
No,
Jason, when
new
we approved their budget, it changed, we sliced that pie,
The park. the
which
health
is
department
contradictory
now
to what
decided-
was told to us
reassessment.
before.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
So I think you
Okay.
and I had a conversation about that levy should have had 500 and some $1,000s brought in. And you should have had a couple $100,000 left in a balance because you only budgeted 280 or something. And that money was not there. And that was because of the budget, and that money would have shifted to elsewhere based on the budget.
Yeah.
It worked well, I think, for this year because.
Because they gave us a whole new big pie for you. That's
Well,
why.
I know, but
And they took it away.
thinking of, Health First Indiana changed everything.
Yes,
If I hadn't have had that, I probably would have fought a little harder,
sure.
for that money, and I get that, but I'm very sympathetic to the fact that we're all a team. It's the county, you know what I
Mhm.
mean? And I don't want to take any more money than I need to
Mhm.
because other people need it.
Right.
Okay,
Appreciate that.
all right, well,
So,
then,
yeah.
with that said, there's my questions. I think I understand that. If you want to look at the 1161, just simply because it's a designated amount from, Health First Indiana.
Hmm.
And, so you'll notice that this year, the entirety of it had, staff in it. And that was just, and a lot of counties did that because it was just easier that way, for accounting purposes. So with that said, the money got cut. I maintained, a certain number of staff members in that. And then there was a little bit left over for, I just put it in office supplies. There was, once I paid the staff and all of the benefits that went with it, out of that, I had 3,278, just for office supplies.
so you split perf and social security, you split between the two funds, right?
So if a staff member is being paid out of 1161, my understanding is I have to take FICA and perf out of that.
Okay, so that's the part,
It follows the person.
gotcha.
Yes.
But you put health insurance all in,
Health insurance, all in the other one.
all in, okay, that's what I
And that
wanted.
just is a simplicity thing for Stephanie and I,
Yeah, makes
before it doesn't have to come out of multiple accounts.
total sense. And how many total employees do you currently have today, and how many are you projecting next year?
Next year, I will have 8 full-time. And
And-
this year, I had, oh, I gotta count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Well, seems like I had 11 or 12 this year, for whatever reason.
I thought last year you said 12, but,
That's not, I'm missing somebody.
and you have some paid by grants.
I have 1 full-time person right now paid by grant.
Shay or Miranda or,
So there's Shaylee, Michelle downstairs and me. And then I have Shay, Anthony, Brittany, and then 1, 2. I should have had 11.
And
But-
then, how about part-time?
Part-time. I have 4 part-time people currently.
Currently, and you're gonna have how many next year? Same,
Could have 5.
5. Okay.
And the part-time helps a lot because I can take the health insurance out of the mix for that.
Yeah.
And I am fortunate to have people who want part-time work.
Well, this is one of the reasons I'm asking the question, because your health insurance actually went up drastically and you're having less full-time people.
Well, but y'all kind of did me a favor last year and took that down some. So the budget that I placed in, so we want to move over here to the 1159?
Well, I'm just talking,
Here's
since we're
why-
talking, but we're kind of mixed. And so,
So what that is, I use the sheet that the auditor's office uses, and I've got a pretty good guess of who has a single plan, who has a family plan, who has a spouse plan. And so when I took those 8 people plus my 3 retirees, because my understanding is I have to count them. So I have 8 people and the 3 retirees, and when I use the numbers that Stephanie uses to take their away, what I put in here is what I get.
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
I got a question,
figure that out.
Shannon.
yeah.
On this spreadsheet that you gave,
Yes.
it shows all the retirees coming out of the general fund.
Last year, you asked me about that spreadsheet. Last year, we did all the calculations and I spent weeks tracking down which employees were retired from which departments and doing the calculations based on the COBRA numbers that you got from Stephanie. And I will also say that last year, I think we increased the amount coming out for health for your department based on anticipated hires.
We did, we added 1 extra,
Well, at that point, though, you hadn't hired or you had recently hired,
yeah.
and we weren't sure what that was going to look like. So the page that Kennan's referring to is a spreadsheet that I sent to everyone that identifies which employees are in which group. I did not take on the agony of tracking retirees because last year we threw them all into the general fund anyway.
Okay.
And so,
Number includes, I know of 3 retirees that we have.
mhm.
And one would be a single and the other 2 it's themselves and their spouse.
Well, I show currently 2 employees still on Plan A, one with member only, employee only, and one with employee plus dependents. And then 3 employee only on Plan B, 1 with employee independence no, these are current employees. 1 with employee independence on Plan B and 1 with employee and family on Plan B. And the total cost using the COBRA numbers that you and I have seen was $141,000. How we end up splitting up these numbers, so for those of you that aren't really aware, these numbers come out of the health budget, the park budget, and the highway budget, and the 911 budget, regardless of if there are employees there. So we all know that the park doesn't have any right now. Those employees are no longer there that we're drawing those benefits. So when I pulled the report from Stephanie to look at how many active employees we have that I should use for COBRA calculations, that number's 0. But coming out of the park's budget is still the number that we budgeted for last year. So you'll still see the park's budget having that dollar amount coming out of that budget all year long. And those dollars come out of that fund and go into the health fund,
And the rationale is that, like,
Not-
counties.
not the health department fund, the health insurance fund. Sorry, please go ahead.
I don't take the insurance.
Mhm.
But if something changed with my husband's employment and I would have to come on, then it's paid and it comes in.
Yeah, we kind of always tried to budget the last few years to have a little buffer there because we had employees that would get married and our next thing you know, we went from an employee only to an employee with family and they married and had 3 kids and, married somebody with 3 kids, if you will. And we really struggled trying to anticipate those changes and try to accurately align what's actually working in each of those departments with the costs that are coming out. And we found some drastic changes as well, where the park was way over and 911 was way under. And of course, we all know that the 911 fund was depleting slowly but surely and couldn't even afford to pay what they were paying. But I think as a council, we need to have a discussion about what we want to do with these health insurance numbers, because we're depleting their levy and just actually moving dollars from their fund into the health insurance fund, and the health insurance fund has a healthy balance.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy because we take general fund money, move it to your levy, take your money, move it back to the general fund. And it's just, I mean, in the highway department and in the 911, they're a different animal because their funds come in from different sources. In your case, it's a little, I mean, we don't put a health insurance line in the auditor's office budget. We don't put a health insurance line in the clerk and any of the other offices that get funded from the general fund. And in reality, that general fund pie, you just get a piece of, and they call it a levy for whatever reason. And whoever decided to do this, and I'm sure they had a great idea and thought it was the greatest thing since sliced bread, but whatever. But we just take money from the general fund, move it to your fund. You take money from your fund and move it right back to the general fund. And it's just like, huh? And so it doesn't make a lot of sense to me either. So I agree that it's something, especially in those two departments that get funded from the levy, it doesn't make a lot of sense to do that. Do you have an insurance question, Kenan?
Yeah,
Go ahead.
yeah. I wouldn't be asking it otherwise. Shannon, are these current numbers on your spreadsheet?
Those are the current numbers from the date the report was written, based on active number of employees multiplied by the appropriate COBRA dollar amounts.
Okay, so if she's going down by 33% of our employees, that's not reflected here.
That's reflective of 7 full-time employees that collect, that are using that insurance.
And you know, of the 8 you're keeping, how many are currently on the insurance and how many are not?
I think I'm the only one that is not.
Okay, so it's 7 may still be accurate.
So I want to take a little bit of a tangent because I think it's imperative to ask this question here because before we make a decision on insurance. You're losing 3 full-time, 2 actual net because you're moving 1 to part-time.
So I had a position for a full-time emergency management person
Uh-huh,
this year that I did not fill.
yep.
Reason being was in January, I started hearing rumblings of the HFI being clawed back. So I did not choose, and that was a good call because that's exactly what happened. I would have ruined somebody's career had I done that. So there is that full position that basically I didn't, it's a wash because I didn't hire them this year, but I did have them budgeted.
Mhm.
So I'm losing that one. And then I, in order to make the nursing department work, restructured it. So I deleted 2 full-time nurses. And then instead of replacing the nursing director, which is a full-time position, I am pulling that department under Shay. So that will be, she's the director of health promotion and disease prevention. So basically I lost a director position because I combined the 2 departments.
So are there any employees that will be laid off or told they do not have a job?
That's already done it.
You've already done, she's already done it. 2 retired.
2 Retired.
Retired.
Positions were eliminated.
Yeah, positions were eliminated and they retired.
Director of nursing is
Mhm.
going back to academia full-time
Mhm.
at the end of August. And I never hired the EMA director.
Right.
so-
Can you still run your department appropriately with the number of employees you have? And I know that's a loaded question
It's a
and
loaded question, and I really would like to have one more nurse. I mean, I really would. if there was some way that we could adjust things or, oh, okay, and here's the other thing. The director position for health promotion and disease prevention is not reflected in this. I'm taking that out of a grant fund that we had for schools and school health and our kiddos in the county. And that's what I'm gonna pay Shay out of. So I guess what I should say is I would really like to be able to pull that back in, that position back into this budget. That would be financially the first thing.
Is that a public health nurse?
It's not a public health nurse, but,
What would it be listed on your, I'm assuming that would be an 1159
Public
fund?
health nurse director.
right. Right, that position. Even if I could pull in a part-time nurse, if I could pull the director of health promotion, you'll notice that's a 0 because that's in, I moved that to the grant. And the reason I did that was because I know that there is going to be changes to HFI moving forward. So,
Debbie, did you get a solid number? Okay.
so
Because I will tell you, in my opinion, Angela, I would like to do that. I would like to do something with the health insurance, bring it back to the general fund. And I would like to give you the positions back that you need to continue to do the work that you've done and keeping the county moving forward. The question, Debbie's running some numbers to look at it. I don't know what my counterparts here are willing to do,
So
but
if we did that position, let's see, 2025, that the director of health promotion, if we could pull that back in, that's that 61,536. And then either a full-time public health nurse position or even a part-time where I had somebody.
so what would a full-time, let's just shoot for the moon here. If
For
we're
the
gonna,
moon and could work back. So the full-time would be 56,079.
That's a public health nurse.
That's a public health nurse.
56,000.
And 56,000.
079.
I have a question.
Yes,
The numbers that are reflected in this budget and these numbers that are you're just now giving us, do those reflect any kind of a wage increase over 2025?
Nope.
Thank you.
Okay, so we gotta put plus if we're gonna do, if we end up doing something there.
So you've got public health nurse director,
Settle
is the
down.
two,
no, the director of health promotion, it would be line 1,011.
oh, and 161. Okay, got it.
Oh,
Got it.
okay.
I was in the wrong fund. Excuse me. I'm sorry.
I put
Oh,
him,
I'm so sorry.
I
Yes,
put him in
1159.
1159 as well.
Okay, so we would have to move that over to the general fund.
That would have to go in 1159 because
Oh,
1161
Have to
is,
go over to-
Move that position over here.
Yeah, I put it under 10,005 under
And
the,
it was.
That's where I had it too.
yeah, I had it under 10,005 and 1159.
61,536.
There is that position created in the 1159, I do believe.
Well, I have public health nurse director.
You do, but, I can find
Don't,
Bobby and I can find that. If not, we'll create it. I mean, it's not,
Okay.
but that's okay. The, in 1161, Shay's position, Director of Health Promotion. I can't remember if we created that job in 1159 ever. We may not have, we may have just done it. Can we create? If they do what they're wanting to do, I may need to create that item in 1159.
Okay, and what?
It would be Director of Health Promotion and Disease Prevention. So it would mirror the 1161, 1011.
yeah, you would just take 612, 1,000.11 over to
Okay.
610, 1,000 point whatever.
And then there's already a public health nurse position listed in the 1159. It's 1,000.04.
17,081,621.
Okay.
17,081,621. That's what the 2025 sounds.
So that's my, here's my thought. that I would like to offer back.
That includes all their, that number includes all their perf, all their, Social Security.
Every change that's been
Yep,
made.
I appreciate it. So it's not just salaries, it's all benefits,
That is what
everything.
your budget is.
Thank you.
So basically, we are currently, if we take the Baker Tilly numbers
Okay.
as it stands and don't alter it, we have 1.7 and change. We're right at 1.8 million. So here's my thoughts. I would like to do exactly what Angela is asking to do. Move those positions to 1159, and I would like to zero out her insurance fund. Now, it will lower your levy.
Sure.
It will lower your levy, but you will end up with these
Let-
two more positions.
Let me add
and-
to that real quick. It'll increase your levy from what it is today because we're budgeting a bunch of things in there that weren't budgeted in there in 2025, right?
Yes.
So that levy will go up, but not as much as what it would have been had that $240,000 been in there.
If we just quit this left pocket, right pocket stuff, where we take it out one pocket and put it in the other with sending you money to send back to us, which makes no sense. Your budget will reduce the group
Yes.
insurance. Yes. And I'm not sure that we shouldn't consider, do you pay other insurances in your, in your 1159?
We pay.
You pay some liability and stuff, don't you?
We do.
See, I just don't, I mean, Bobby, you've been a
Listen,
commissioner.
I have questioned that for 4 years.
I don't
never
understand why we
understood
left pocket, right pocket that
Yeah,
stuff. Why don't we just put all of, is there a reason that we need to do this? Well, but if we reduce their levy by that amount, I mean, if we take it out of their levy and just leave it in county general, because all we're doing is taking money out of county general and sending it to them for them to take out of their levy and send it right back.
So I think that the ones that,
Because that's gonna really throw off the number I just gave you.
Well,
Sorry.
it's going to throw off and it's going to net some zero because you're going to take it out of here and put it back into there.
You're gonna have to add it to your county general fund.
Yes.
And I understand your levies, but you have to have that total. for your
Yeah.
county.
So that's what I'm saying. We're just taking it from here and putting it back to there and then they won't get it to send us, basically. So the,
But that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I need to go through each one that takes out insurance and add that to the commissioner's insurance.
are you talking about everyone or are you just talking about health department? Because I think, well, I think
department-
like with the highway
Health Department
department,
and Parks Department are the two I'm talking about because those two departments are the ones that are operated like
under
this.
the, you're right, the
Is it under the
highway
levy?
and,
The others like 911 and,
You
Why?
can ask one department to do it.
but they get a different tax rate.
I understand, but
But
still,
It's general fund either way we slice it. That's the difference. And it's general fund either way you slice it.
If I was that department head, I would be ticked off. Would you be ticked off if they took it from you or made you pay it and not somebody else?
But the difference is Angela doesn't get a tax rate.
I understand.
She doesn't get a lit tax rate. That's the difference.
and I think that's why it was that way is it's
All of us that are not in the general fund,
you are in the general.
You are in the general fund technically. Because we could reduce her.
Well, she's not
we
in the
could reduce her-
1,000 fund, but she's under the,
She's under the levy.
Under
Those are
the
that,
levy.
I guess what you're saying is those that are paid out of property taxes.
Yes.
The levy of property taxes, we can slice and dice that levy and it doesn't matter because if we take it out of hers, it shifts that levy dollar amount.
Right
over
back
to
into the general.
so in comparison, what Debbie was talking about.
Highway and 911 are the other two.
highway 911.
And if we take it out of their fund,
Because they're without a lit.
it stays in their fund,
Well,
Only thing that comes out of our pie, Chad.
other than those
The
others.
rest of the highway department has a.
they're paid out of gas
Gas tax,
taxes and wheel taxes and
other things like that.
Local road and
I
streets and
would
BH.
say, yeah, any of us that have to.
Because the difference is if we reduce it in your budget, it goes back to the county general. If we reduce it in 911's budget, it stays in 911's budget. That is the difference. It doesn't.
for
go
now,
back to
until
county-
2028.
Until 2028, and then it all changes, which I think we should look at in 2028, when it all changes.
You okay with
For
this?
those of us who are still here,
Huh?
Because it all changes in 2028.
Yeah.
Maybe not the highway department, though.
So who were you taking insurance from? The health department?
And the
And the park,
park.
and that's the only two, correct?
That would be, those are the only two that actually
That's
the
the
funds go straight
suggestion,
back
and I
into the
guess we,
general
we
fund.
need to have a consensus on it.
Yeah, I mean, that's my thought pattern. I would like to,
Either
Get
sends it
what
to them
the
to
rest
pay
of it
us, or it sends
Uh-huh.
it to the general for us. to
Right,
pay.
right.
So it's still truly all,
Right. Zero sum
I mean, in layman's.
in layman's terms.
Maybe, it took me 8 years.
17, what are you talking about?
Right.
We knew that the amount we budgeted, so.
Because of-
So I'm gonna ask a question while they're debating, Angela. You suggested hiring a replacement for yourself and having some overlap over the last part of the year. In my mind, you have the money already in your budget to do that, and it's collected. You would just come ask us.
They would eat.
Yes.
Basically at one point.
It doesn't affect.
Mhm.
the
So I have to go to the
We
state
bas-
and
health
ask
insurance
permission to do that.
rest.
Okay,
So then that will be.
We can modify.
Yes.
Get their permission, and once I get their permission, then I bring it to you all.
okay, so you're starting that process and you'll bring it to us.
Yeah.
Thank you.
This amount of money.
Mhm.
Okay,
Is,
The only difference is the lift.
So
You're
you're
right.
saying you don't want those numbers, you don't need those numbers added into your county. general?
not right now. We got to decide if people want to do that. I'm looking,
The one thing that you do need to leave to us, though, is the malpractice insurance. And it does come to us separately. So we'll get a bill for workman's comp, we get a bill for general liability, and then we get a separate bill for the malpractice.
so here, I'm going to throw out my suggestion and then you guys can just pick it apart and decide how you feel. Now, that's what I'm throwing out, and then I'm going to ask. So what I would like to do is add the public health nurse back in at $56,079. I would like to add the director position back in at $61,536. I would like to remove the group insurance at $240,000. But then we need to discuss how much we put into the general fund, because I believe that is a much bigger number than she actually needs for 8 full-time employees. 9 now if we add the one position back.
I think we
And
need
then I
to,
would like to zero out the liability insurance and move that $6,000 in their liability insurance back into the commissioner's budget for their liability insurance line.
So the liability and insurance go back into commission.
Yes. That's,
Workman's comp will stay in ours.
should we do workman's comp's the same thing. So yes, we probably should. I missed that one. Well, I saw the 6,000.
Number 4.
I'm still not seeing it.
2 down from.
Oh, shoot. It's on the first page. No wonder. Yes, I think that makes sense to do that as well. And then move it back over to the commissioners. So what's the thoughts?
I'm in agreement as long as we can verify that it's, like you said, a net sum zero.
yeah,
On the insurance things, on the 2 people, I'm good with adding those positions back. And I'm not saying that I'm not good with doing the other thing, but I just need to get verified that it's like you said, it's a net sum zero to the levy.
Yeah, we would just take those dollar figures.
I just want
Move
to
'em.
verify it.
Go back to where you're doing it, yeah.
Okay, so public health nurse,
1,000.04.
1,004. 56,079 plus the raise. We haven't done raises yet, so it'll be plus the raise.
Okay, so that's in 1160.
The 1159, 1151.
In 1159, Debbie, 1,000.04.
Okay.
So
And-
that already exists.
And then,
56,000.
Yep.
$79.
and then the position that is currently in 612, the number 1,000.11, Director of Health Promotion, No, sorry, that's not that one. Director of Nursing, it's 10, is it?
It's 1,000.11 is what she's referring
It's
to.
10, I think, actually, right? Because it's the one that's the,
No, not the nursing director, health promotion director.
okay, the Health Promotion Director, and that has a salary same salary.
But we're gonna move that from, we're just adding a new line in 1159 that says Director of Health Promotion for 61,536. Yes.
And then the group insurance, the 1,012, zero that out and carry that balance over to the commissioner's budget.
All right, we're gonna have to, okay, so I'm with let's go to 1159 instead, because going back and forth is confusing.
Well,
1,004 on the 1159 is 56,079.
yes.
Mhm.
Zeroing out 241.91 on 1,012. Zeroing out 1,014 workman's comp,
Yes.
zeroing out 3,017 liability insurance on the 1159.
Yes.
And then you're
adding
adding one for the 61,536.
Okay, I thought it was going into that.
No.
It's not even in there.
Yeah, it wasn't, it was just budgeted there previously.
Yeah, so they're moving that one position from the HFI fund to the other fund. The, taking it from the 11,
No, it's not budgeted in.
no, I didn't suggest any changes in 1161 necessarily.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Bobby spoke up. What's everyone else's opinion?
I concur.
Same. Same.
Okay.
Yeah, that if we just need to verify that it's,
Yeah,
but
I
I
concur.
believe it will be a net sum, but I have to be a trust but verify.
If I might add, we just added in 117 and took out 240. So the difference would actually so it's really tricky because her budget as presented would have presented a dollar amount levy change of this. And so the difference would be a levy change in the general fund. So I completely agree with everything, moving these things to the commissioner's budget. I think when we have the discussion with the commissioners, I think this afternoon, we're all going to need to concur on how much we fund the medical insurance fund and how, because a lot of that comes out of the commissioner's budget as well. And the highway and the 911, I think we need to have that discussion separately from this, but I agree completely with everything that was just mentioned.
I say for a bare minimum, we have to go into the commissioner's budget and add those dollar figures back in. So, I mean, would everyone agree we've got to and then once we have those dollar figures, if we want to alter from there, we can alter from there, but I want to know what the total number is, not just what's in there.
I truly believe that the reason some of this stuff was done the way it was is everybody was told that it was a different part of the tax levy. You know, I will say as commissioner, at some point, I was under the impression that you were part of the.
Yeah, until what year, May
Mhm.
2022.
I don't.
Mhm.
That the levy,
Mhm.
we all talked about the pie,
Mhm.
comes from the general fund.
Mhm. Yeah, it was confusing and, yeah. So, and I think that's why, yeah.
Jay and I are supposed to have it 2 months.
Jay and I did not vote yet or share.
Jay and I are supposed to figure this out like that, you know, it's tough.
Look,
There's a lot.
Angela, do you have, turn that off. Do you have other things you would like to bring up or discuss?
You know,
It's different.
It's okay.
Yes.
If I add this, that means back, you
Yeah,
know,
Coombridge is
when
different.
that comes down, do I need to make any other investments than
my 1159, but
know, we'll do that on this end. Just understand that obviously like Shannon said, we added 117, we took away 252. So on paper, it's going to look like you lost money in your levy, but you lost bills in your levy. You lost expenses. Okay.
So when it shakes out, I could be okay with what that final number is.
Yeah.
He's making other.
Just knowing your number is going to go down that net difference between the,
Right, but then my expenses go down.
yeah, so yeah,
It'll be fine.
so yeah.
Okay, I just didn't know if I needed to-
No.
Any further, but because of what's coming ahead.
Completely understand. I'm going to ask a question, and I know this is something that you and I discussed in some detail a year or so ago. We can move things around in your 1159 budget. And as we've talked, it's going to impact the levy, the slicing where we're cutting the pie. So if this council decides to give raises of any kind, that will impact where that pie gets sliced for your 1159 budget. The employees that you have budgeted in 1161, that's a finite amount of money. So at some point, we're going to have to look and say, do we want to move certain dollars from 1161 into 1159? And I'm personally looking at the part-times. Something that we could move if we decide to give raises. She has no room in the 1161 budget to give raises because there's a finite amount of dollars there. So if we decide to give raises across the board to the employees specifically the employees that are funded in 1161, there's no money in the HFI fund to fund those raises. So if we decide to do that, I think we need to go back and look and say, we want to move part-time or something of that sort to the 1159 budget. Yeah, we're moving the dollar, moving the knife on the slicing the pie a little bit, and that's okay. But if we're given those wage increases, we need to make sure we don't forget about the 1161 funded employees.
That's a good point, Shannon, because we will have to shift that if we give a X raise. I mean, and that's an option that, because there is a part-time line already that exists in 1159, right?
Yes, whether there's anything currently.
Yeah, and, well, it just says,
Yeah, I didn't budget anything because it exists.
So do we want to just move that 33,000 over now, or do you guys want to talk about it and do it later? 33,166. PRN temporary part-time,
But there's other employees, but
1161 budget,
612, 11,
1,000.04.
there's other employees budgeted, positions budgeted in 1161.
There are.
So you'd have to look at, would that, if you're giving raises and only moving that out and freeing that amount up, would that cover the rest of, in 1161?
Yes.
It should.
So
99,068. 2025 is what I put in current temporary part-time.
yeah.
Mhm.
Temporary part-time, 99,068. Okay.
And you budgeted this year 33,166.
Oh, I see this.
And for those in the council, I distributed a breakdown of what the 95%, 97%, and cost to midpoints would actually cost us by fund. And the health department, to fund all the positions in the health department to 95%, based on what the Wagner Irwin Shealy study was, $6,188 to fund a raise of whatever, to fund all the employees up to 97% of midpoint was 15,135. And to fund them completely to midpoint would have been an increase of 28,557. That's kind of how I got to the part-time. Is pretty easy to move out of 1161 into 1159, and that frees up some dollars in 1161 to provide raises for the employees that are in there.
Yeah.
It won't reach
Yeah,
that
I understand that. I just want to
33,000.
make sure that we're good. I don't.
Got it.
What
I
I
just
don't
want
want
to
to
make
do
sure
is take one
everybody.
person out and then we go, oh, wait, you all get to stay in and you don't get a raise.
Yeah, completely. We're on the same page. I think we're just talking about it a little differently.
I'm good with going ahead and doing that if you want to do that, Shannon.
I'd like to just move it over 33,159, move it into 1159.
So just to clarify, what Shannon is recommending is going into the 1161, zeroing out 1,000.04 part-time and taking that 33,166 and adding it into 1159, 10 or 1,000.19 part-time.
Because the reason that was the ones, I had to get to a certain.
Oh, you're
30, so
spending
you're
all that they
asking for
gave you? Yeah.
33,000.
Oh, it doesn't matter one way or another.
Okay, so you're good with that, Shannon, since you're, so we're,
Sure.
what Shannon's recommending is zeroing it out again, 612, 1,000.04, and then adding it into 610, 1,000.19. Does anybody have any concerns? 33,000. Debbie, Bobby, you guys understand? Okay. The health fund. This-
Right,
the-
right.
The.
1159.
1,000.19, the very bottom line.
Okay.
Because it's a part-time line. Okay.
You have any other concerns or questions for us, Angela? We're gonna miss you when you're not here. Enjoy your retirement as
We will.
do everything you want to do. And I appreciate your willingness to want to overlap and do some training.
I know you said you could hire your replacement, but that is not going to happen. I don't think, no. You've done an excellent job. Thank you so much for all you did. I mean, you carried us through a pandemic phenomenally.
Not replaceable. You personally are, yes, can we get another director, but you personally are not replaceable. And thank you for all you have done. No, you're not.
Well, hire somebody who is
Well,
as meticulous and caring as you are.
We'll be the club.
Bobby. You know.
And then, but it increased the general.
Yes, I've been in.
Okay. Because that's what I'm trying to keep track of.
Could, well, repeat that number again, total 1159.
Hold on, I'll have to go back to it just a second.
You need any help, Angela? Good.
Can you write it in?
That's what I've got.
577, 622.
That's what I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, she may come up with a different number, but that's what I.
That took
Oh, that's
it
closer.
to 255, 1161 and 255, 395. And then 1159. No. Because we added one, you haven't added one, right, so 1159.
I'm probably still finding person in the couple of days. I had stuff that he was still working on the basis that I'll have an adjustment. To send to them is not a problem. But. It's just a matter of either a
I-
date or a number that.
We're hoping to wrap it up
At the
today.
end of the day, maybe?
So.
We're
Talking
trying.
about a raise for next year.
So you're working on.
That's good.
We're looking at all options really as to what we're looking, I mean, we've discussed the Wagner and Shealy report. So from our standpoint, if you're gonna be gone at the end of the year and your replacement gonna take over, it doesn't really impact whatever that percentage increase was is there, but you need to, I guess my thoughts are if you're hiring your replacement this year, you need to look at what that's the salary you're looking for to hire in your replacement. Okay, maybe, no, 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 no.
No, no.
That was a once in
Once in an
correctional
eternity.
message. Yes.
They have to have their stuff.
But what we decide doesn't, they don't have any control over that because it's in the 1159 budget. Gotcha. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. But you're suggesting your replacement be your current salary? Even in 26?
No, not even at 26. We're gonna figure out whatever wage changes we make. She needs to hire in her replacement now so that, or by the end, she wants to overlap for a few months. Yeah, she needs to get advertising. Yeah, and I'm Ken and what? No, Angela.
Angela, yeah.
So we will decide what the administrator's wage change will be, and we will budget that amount for 2026. Yeah.
What was your?
577, 622.
Oh.
You had it. I had it exactly.
Yeah, he already calculated it.
Had it. To the dollar.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'm not taking over her
Thank you.
job.
Thank you,
No.
thank you. Big shoes to fill there.
Okay. So we have some time before scheduled lunch. Thoughts? We still have coming up this afternoon that we have not gone through, the commissioners, the park and the prosecutor and community corrections.
Commissioner, when you get all those custom business, yeah. I just wrote it, less those.
I kind of wrote as a note that we need, that's what I did, but we can, that way we need to run it through, talked with the commissioners and explain the thought pattern. I just kind of made a note. I didn't actually make it out to the side, but is what I did is, I think we got to talk with the commissioners and explain the thought pattern but yeah, since it, no, sir, I prefer not to do that. I like to work with the commissioners.
Well, I think we're gonna have to come to a consensus on what we're gonna budget to from the discussion we started having earlier.
So I know you've sent out the numbers.
Mhm.
What is the total impact to the general fund? If you raise all the rates,
You're talking about wage increases?
wage increases, and that this would include the levy,
Sure. The impact to the general fund, based on if we went to 95%, $127,055. If we went to the 97%, it's $255,589. And if we went to midpoint, $449,980.
is how much? 400?
449,980. That's 100% of midpoint.
450,000, 255,000, 128,000.
Yep.
So Debbie's calculations right now, just using Baker Tilly's numbers, after backing out Angela's numbers, we have approximately $1.5 million in funds,
Versus, revenue versus.
revenue
expenses.
versus current budgeted expenses.
So
Is where we stand.
I still stand on, we stay with Baker Tilly's numbers. I mean,
That
if-
he,
if- And I
That
have
is
no
it.
reason to doubt Debbie's numbers.
That's Baker
That
Tilly's
is
number.
big, right?
You're right, based
Yep.
upon, I mean, based upon her calculations, what you just said, based upon the
Yes, so that's,
calculations.
that is using Baker Tilly's number
Yeah, I
of,
see no reason in me personally in adjusting Baker Tilly's numbers in any way.
so
with-
that
with
is
that.
using Baker Tilly's number of operating receipts of 18,785,000 and Debbie's number of current budgeted of 17,081,000 plus the three items we just added, which account for another $150,000. give or
So
take.
there's plenty of room in there.
So we're basically at, let's say 17.25 is where we're at right now. And we have Baker Tilly's number is
785.
785.
You guys did not put benefits in 1159. She paid benefits out there, you had it to the employees.
We moved all the benefits over to the commissioners.
Yeah, the,
Only the, I
So-
thought you ended the insurance. Or I mean, I said benefits, I'm sorry.
You're talking about Social Security.
in there.
Okay,
Yeah.
again,
those will have to be in there. Yeah.
we'll have to adjust all that when we decide on raises, but the, I mean, you know, it's not close to $1.5 million. You're talking a few dollars at the end of the day.
So Stephanie's question is, when you're talking about the raises, don't forget you gotta think about your workman's comp's gonna go up,
Mhm.
work's gonna go up.
Yes.
so-
Security, yep.
Any dollar, I've said this every year I've ever been on here. If we give if any dollar in raise, it's 1.2 cost, $1.20 cost.
Right. So if you add 20% to each
Yes.
of
so-
those numbers I just read off,
So-
that's going to be the net impact.
So you're looking at 97% would cost the county somewhere a little over $300,000. By the time we did perf and work comp and social
Right.
security Medicare. It's around $310,000 if we went to 97% of midpoint. That being said, it's also $1 million under our expected revenue, even at that, still.
The sheriff's department.
On which insurance? Are you talking about the insurance premiums? Yeah, we bumped that up to 365 or whatever it was. Yeah. Those were given to us by Joe.
20%.
Yeah, about 20%. So each dollar you give in a raise, you got to pay perf, social security, Medicare taxes, plus the work comp.
No, we used to figure
Right, you're in that industry.
19.5. Close enough.
It's pretty
I
close.
just make the math easy.
Yeah, it's-
I'll make the math easy.
You talking about which one we're looking at? He just said that the 97% of midpoint impact on the general fund, which in salaries would be about 255,589. And if you add 20% to that, we're a little over $300,000.
About 300, say 310. So, obviously those. big raises, big tax increases last year.
Oh,
I'll just, do you guys want?
I mean, it is, yes, but I think they have a separate line item somewhere. But no, yes, it is the list.
their estimates.
Yeah.
It's gonna be the fair way to go. At least objective. I mean, using Wagner Urban is using the best data we have at our disposal.
Mhm.
Yes.
Otherwise, we're choosing winners and losers.
Or move stuff to the general.
Well,
fund.
we can't move, any of
We
the
gave a
salaries out.
5%
of the
raise.
general fund.
People that were way under
Because I've already
midpoint.
talked to Jason about that.
Pennies on the dollar compared to somebody that was at the midpoint.
That was the point of going to a difference from midpoint, yes.
So
Move
the
them
person
off,
making
lower it
$50,000 at 5%
Right.
is getting a $2,500.
I mean, you can move a few.
A person at 30,000 was getting a $1,500 raise. So they got further and further behind midpoint.
Comparing to midpoint is the way to keep up with that.
It's the fairest way to do it for sure.
Well,
I mean, it's definitely not the easiest way to do it.
we're
It's not the
making-
easiest
we're
way to
not
do it.
choosing Winners and losers.
No.
But doing it that way by giving out exact dollar figures for all those years, that's how it got so far off.
Right.
So what would, with all the numbers we just discussed, you calculate what percent operating balance would be in the general fund?
Add 1 million to that bottom number.
And
Take a million out.
No, add.
Oh, well, it's gonna be more than it was this year.
Yes. Because we're at one,
Haven't put in.
Are
Are you guys gonna give are you county commissioner and council midpoint in that?
All of them were.
This is the only, because that's all they start on the council.
Or $70 or something.
it's like, I don't even think I can go to,
Three.
what's that new Smoothie King and give me one of them bowls a month.
Anybody that was above midpoint when compared to that 97% stays, is their cost to go to 97% is zero.
I don't know why this
So.
just hit me.
But if we went and did.
Depends on which position.
There's only three that would,
Elected officials and chief deputies are all above. That is more than three.
You know, he said.
Did she put it? Right, she's talking. Right here. Yes, yeah.
Okay. So I guess,
I'm just getting an education, that's all. Nothing pertinent to any
I'm just
business here,
explaining,
we're
yeah.
just educating.
Yeah,
I'm just explaining.
how different things work lit versus property tax levy.
fun, isn't it?
Oh my gosh.
Remember what I told you when you got into this, just
Yep.
take all the logic and throw it out the window, because
Yeah, I was just explaining property tax levy and lit and how things, funds in here, funds in there.
yeah, everything's siloed, everything has its own spot. You can't pay out of one thing to the other, and if you do, you gotta borrow, and yeah, it's lots of fun. We still have about a half an hour before lunch. The big discussion points, like I said, we got the two departments, the 4 departments coming up after lunch. The big two are the commissioners in the park. I still want to circle back to the highway department and the kind of outside the box idea I threw out yesterday to with their insurance and their, they're giving them a shot in the arm for bridges, especially seeing where we're at. My thoughts are if this year, to make it cleaner and easier, talking to Debbie, if we zeroed out their insurance line in their budget for this year only, to give them a shot in the arm, which is $470,000, and adding a line in there for bridges of the $470,000.
And then that insurance would go under the commissioner.
Well,
They would pay it.
I personally think we can cut back on the insurance because we are well-funded. We have 2.5.
No, I'm just asking that. I'm just asking a question. I'm not.
Yeah,
dis-
I
I'm not
wouldn't,
Debating.
but different from the park and the health that we
Right,
already mentioned,
mhm.
I just wouldn't add it into the commissioners. I think we just leave that level. Because I think we can pull back this year a little bit because the council's done a
Well,
great job.
my
of-
point being the commissioners would pay that insurance.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it would the insurance fund would pay the insurance.
Well, the insurance fund is located. under
No,
the
it's
commissioner's
a
budget.
separate fund. But the commissioner's budget funds it.
Yeah.
Several other departments fund it, but it's a separate fund. It would just pay it out of that fund.
Yes, I understand that.
But it's not, it's not all in.
Right, right.
The dollar amounts that come out of the commissioner's budget for health insurance where do those numbers come from?
Say that again.
The commissioner's budget health insurance line item, where do those numbers come from?
You, we reset it.
Okay.
Remember when you went through and you deducted it, you added increase some, decrease some, and once you decrease, then you would have to adjust the conditionals. So.
Mhm. Honestly.
I don't know how we come up with those numbers.
So what gets paid out of that line item? Where does that money go?
It goes into the health
That's,
insurance
that's,
fund.
that's what I'm getting
It
at.
just goes into the health insurance fund.
Okay, so and that's what I was getting at. And so,
No different than all the deductions from the employee's pay, every other department that pays into that fund. It's
Mhm.
just another deduction that goes into that fund.
I guess,
It is 068 commissioners, and we're talking about the 3,000.12 line.
Mhm.
Okay, we're just make all of,
I did not increase that this year because Josh said insurance wasn't going up, so it did not get increased.
right, and and I'm gonna talk like I know what I'm talking about, and Scott, you correct me if I'm wrong. I know there's there's the reinsurance and the additional co-insurance stuff that has to be paid. That's what I was kind of getting at. Are those paid out of the health insurance fund or out of the commissioner's line item?
Yes, all the bills are paid out of the health insurance fund.
Okay,
All of the claims are paid, I guess I should say claims, are paid out of the health insurance fund, and the admin fees are paid out of the health insurance fund.
Mhm.
The fund is funded by a multiple different accounts, from the general fund, from the PSAP, from the highway department.
Understood.
from The other levies, and from the employees,
right.
as
Right.
well.
Their portion gets put
Mhm.
right in there. That's what I was getting. I just needed to know what was being paid out of that line item, if it was coming out of,
And we have nearly a year's reserve in that account at this point.
Got a question for Shannon. This spreadsheet, that came from you, didn't it?
I can't see it, kind of.
It's the premium.
yeah, came from Josh, Shannon,
Oh, yeah, Josh Estel sent that to us and I forwarded it to
And
you
that's,
guys.
that's premiums that,
Premiums for 2026. Actually, I forwarded you guys the email. He prefaced that with some of them, they don't all renew at the same time.
right, some
So
of them
it's not an
are
exact science.
March and some of them are July.
March, some July.
Yeah.
It just-
So the law enforcement and the excessive law enforcement, doesn't that come out of the sheriff?
We budgeted that in public safety lit. Those two numbers.
And
combined.
workman's comp is separate in the commissioner's budget.
I think there's workman's comp lines.
Pretty
in
much everywhere.
Everywhere.
Several. There's
Okay.
work comps everywhere.
So we can't tell.
Twice a year. Because they go back and do a 3-year analysis.
Mhm.
And bill us in the beginning of the year, and in the end of the year, we actually get our.
So yes, it's workman's comp is based on the number of employees, the wages of the employees and all this. So we have a dollar figure up front, then they'll do an audit and they'll settle. Sometimes we come out ahead.
We come out
sometimes we
ahead,
end up-
sometimes we come out behind.
Sometimes we end up owing.
I think we mostly come out behind.
Yeah, well, most companies do. It's,
salaries.
Yeah.
Yeah, we will.
that generally happens, most companies, but
Yeah.
occasionally we get.
So the 341,000 that Josh quoted for workman's comp for the corporation, for the county, and they budgeted 360, the actual amounts, 341,000. That's what he quoted.
That's what he sent to us, yeah.
Yeah, so
Okay, so that one could go down then, potentially.
I would.
I wouldn't because of when the audit.
No.
Because that's
Because the
one of
audit
them that
at the
has
end
a
of the
settle
year.
up later, so that's
Yeah.
just the
Okay,
initial
okay.
payment.
All right.
yeah, and I mean, it comes from other departments too. So it's possible, but there could be some extra there. But again, it's that settle up that you got to be careful with.
And if we're giving raises. it's
That's
more
gonna,
likely
that's
we're
gonna go up.
pay.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, when they do the audit and they see that the salary increased by X amount of dollars, then you'll see that potentially increased by X amount of
And they
dollars.
do the audit annually. They do the audit annually.
Yes.
Every year.
Well, thank you, insurance people.
Yep.
We'll ask the commissioners, but is there a, never mind, I answered my own question.
So one other thing I would like to mention, and I'm the commissioners are coming this afternoon, but I'm looking at Jason's number for the CCD fund. The CCD fund is under budgeted by about $100,000. And I really wanted to get Bobby's opinion, and I spoke with Jeff yesterday, because I know one of the concerns that have been brought up a few times now is a lot of our equipment, as far as computers, are getting there. So I'm wondering if we should look at possibly increasing that IT budget in the CCD fund with that additional funds that are there according to Jason. And for whatever reason, right now, I can't find the CCD fund in Jason's. Yeah, but I mean, in Jason's,
Page 14.
14.
there it is. Thank you.
And as numbers, she wanted to increase it by.
Okay.
She's worked on it, her and Jeff and I sat down for a
Okay.
long time. And she has numbers that she's wanting, that she's bringing to you guys to increase it.
Yeah,
Okay.
I wouldn't pretend to suggest until they present their stuff to make any change.
Okay, because Jeff came to me a while back, so I was looking for dollars, and the total operating receipts next year, Jason, estimates is 669,000, and our budgeted amount's only 567,000. So we actually budgeted under that account by 6 figures.
Well, it's
More than
because
six.
the commissioner stopped doing a whole lot of stuff with that fund when it started getting really low. We pulled everything out.
Yeah, but now it's over $500,000.
I understand, but I'm just saying that's why things aren't budgeted in there, is it got low and it got pulled out. I want to say 2 years ago, Bobby?
Yeah, it was about ready to.
Yeah. Yeah, we had to
Yeah.
quit using it.
I
Yeah,
know they did a correction, but I'm just saying, I think we're to the point now we can probably
I understand.
level that
I understand. I'm
correction.
just giving context.
Yeah. Because I was here when we pulled back on that the last time, but because, I mean, it got down to where it only had 82,000 back in 23, but we currently have nearly $500,000 in that account, which is,
Yeah, we increased it 260,000 since 22.
yeah.
So it's gone up 50%. So we stopped the bleeding at least.
Yeah, I think we stopped the bleeding. I'm just wondering if it's time to consider looking at some of these long-term plans that we need to do, just as another thought I had in looking at this budget. Because I know that, Debbie, when was it we bought all those laptops? Was 21?
We bought those with,
The first round of,
coronavirus.
yeah, the first round of like,
2020.
yeah, it was
2020.
like late 2021. So they're all getting to that 4 to 5 year, 4+ year, which in a computer is almost ancient nowadays. But so I know Jeff told me he started to replace some, but I think we need to make sure we have some kind of a plan going forward, because we're never going to get dumped the amount of money we got from the federal government again to do it. So I
Well,
think we need to be
there's about
proactive.
400 computers.
Yeah.
So if you want to replace them every 5 years, 400 divided by 5 is you have to replace 80 every year. I'm going to guess, it depends on he probably gets better pricing than what I do because it's government pricing. Let's say $800, multiply 8 times 80,
64,000.
64,000.
That's why I said $100,000, if we could put an
Yeah.
additional, would definitely be a good start.
Now, I don't know if that includes all the Microsoft licensing and all that stuff, but
I don't know the exact dollar figures, and I
Me
don't,
personally,
I
I
know
can't
we
get
do
one
get a
for
very good
under
deal through
$1,200
Dell, according to Jeff, on buying the equipment, but I just know that we're gonna have to do something, because you're right.
yeah,
We
I
had to
mean,
replace all 400 of them at the same
Mhm.
time. You're looking at hundreds of
Mhm.
thousands of dollars. So I think it's time to be proactive, especially if we
Well,
have some funds that we can be
I know we-
proactive with, is my thought pattern with it.
So we're gonna have to come to conclusions on all the stuff with the rest of these departments. We're gonna have to agree on what we're gonna budget to number wise. We're going to have to agree whatever raises we want to give. And then the auditors group has to go in and put all those numbers into the system and give us another set of budget worksheets that we can get totals from and understand. And I guess what I'm getting at is that's not going to happen this afternoon,
No.
So-
Well, we can obviously decide on what number we're gonna budget to.
right?
I think based upon the numbers, I still stay on Baker Tilly's numbers because we've got plenty of room in there. I don't know what everybody else thinks, but I guess just take one thing at a time and go through.
Well, I tend to agree with Bobby on this one, just knowing that we're going to look at next year's budget. It's going to be much, much, much more difficult. If there was a singular capital, something that walked in the door, I may be amenable to voting to do it out of our general fund balance. But I'd hate to put in budgetary dollars this year that we're worried whether or not we're actually going to be able to get with all these changes next year. So living with Baker Tilly's numbers seems like a more stable option. But if there's a capital improvement project that was out there that we could fund a one-time shot with, I would probably be somewhat amenable to that in just our regular budget, do an additional appropriation type thing. But I don't want to budget long-term expenses when we don't know what our long-term pay is going to be, you know? I don't want to take out a mortgage if I don't know what I'm going to get paid next year in 27. So I agree with Bobby. I think Baker Tilly's number is extremely conservative. I really do. But I think we should be extremely conservative at this point with the major changes coming down the street.
So the PSAP lit, we would be budgeting roughly $48,000 into the red based on using the estimates provided by Baker Tilly, which includes no increase in lit collections, which is what we're talking about. So without any lit collections, with the budget that was presented to us by Brian, it's basically a net operating receipts of $48,000 in the hole. He has some reserves in there, which will fund that.
You're at 25% at the end of next year.
Just
Yeah.
making sure we all understand we're budgeting into the red.
And honestly, I don't, my thought pattern on that one, Shannon, is more than likely all of this stuff is going to go away in 28 anyway.
Right.
Is if he budgets like he is with zero increase and an increase in his budget,
Mhm.
he's still going to carry over $200,000 by the time 28 rolls around. And whether or not we figure out what we can do with it at that point, as Jason said, right now, that rolls into the general fund anyway.
Mhm.
Now, can we do something else with it then? Who knows what state will allow us to do?
Mhm.
But that's my only thoughts in that, is that
Yep.
I would rather them roll down than I would,
Don't disagree. I just making sure we're all on the same page.
but we can't change that one anyway, because that's a tax increase that we can't even pass.
Right.
Don't disagree, but I'm just talking about estimates.
Yeah, that's,
I mean-
Jail lit's the same way.
Yeah.
We just moved an additional $250,000 into jail lit the other day, but we know it has balance.
Oh, heck, yeah, the jail lit has a really good balance.
Yeah, for
that
sure.
is a significant balance.
Yep. I mean, what was budgeted eats into it by 189,000. We added an additional 250. So
But
we're gonna be,
Here's the thing, if we're budgeting to Baker Tilly's conservative numbers
Yep.
and you're correct, and I'm not saying that you're not correct, that just gives us a cushion. I mean, it's not being, nothing's detrimental
completely agree.
to balancing to the conservative numbers when we have those numbers. It's not like if more money comes in, we can't do anything with that money. I just think it puts us in a better position if something major comes along. If a hail damage happens to the roofs and we have $100 and some thousand deductible versus because they changed the way that deductible is for inland marine, it just puts us in a better spot. I hope we get more money.
Yep.
Look, every year I hope I make more money in my business and I'm able to do something more, but I never plan on it, I plan conservatively so I don't Heck, I gotta start using my credit cards because I thought I was gonna bring in more money, you know?
Yep.
You know, you're self-employed as well, you know? We don't know year to year what we're gonna make. So that's just my take on it.
The Office of Fiscal, the Office of Fiscal and Management Analysis has us next year increasing $445,000 in estimated revenues given SCA one. So next year, actually, projections are rosier than this year for 2026.
Yep.
Subject to infinite change.
I don't think Baker Tilly agreed exactly with that number because I think that number changed too. What's the date on that report?
That's the April that the Senate used,
Yeah.
but the update on
the-
June 30th was actually rosier than,
No, it came down according to what I saw from Jeff out there at the park when he did the forum. We were actually one of the counties that lost.
well, he said $400,000,
Yeah.
but I'm saying
Yes.
statewide, it was a lot rosier
Oh,
statewide
yeah,
on the budget
statewide, they were
projections.
rosier, but Henry County actually did see a decrease in the latest one from that.
Well, that's for 2026, and this shows that. It just shows 2027 increasing by 445,000. It does show it going down for next year,
Yeah.
but that's not affecting us because you look at the Baker Tilly report. We're going to be in decent shape.
I'm absolutely fine budgeting with what was presented to us by Baker Tilly. I just wanted everybody to understand
Yeah.
what we're looking
I
at.
mean, you know, the
Appreciate
money,
it.
if we get more money, great. If we don't,
Sure.
we're not in a bad position.
Yep.
Okay, we have about 15 minutes where we're supposed to break from lunch. Is there anything else or we could go ahead and
Yeah.
that's.
I said if we break for lunch, he can go make more money. Yeah.
All right.
So are we all in a consensus? Did we all come to consensus to budget to Baker Tilly's number?
Yes.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll break for lunch and come back at 1 o'clock.
Sounds good.
Are you fixing that, Bobby?
Yes, I am.